Manchester City, if they can win at Anfield for the first time since 2003, they would be 10 points ahead of Liverpool. We're just about set for kick-off. Liverpool with Alisson in goal, Alexander-Arnold, Fabinho, Henderson and Robertson, Jones, Thiago, Wijnaldum, Salah, Firmino and Mane. Manchester City with Ederson, Cancelo, Stones, Diaz and Zinchenko, the tightest defence in the Premier League this season. Rodri, Bernardo Silva, Gundogan, Mahrez, Sterling and Foden. The referee is Michael Oliver. It's the first time Michael Oliver's refereed Liverpool since the Merseyside derby in the autumn, when Virgil van Dijk was injured, when he was clattered by Jordan Pickford. So Michael Oliver puts his whistle to his lips and the players take the knee, which has great significance at the moment with all of the bad things that have been going on social media. So up they get, and Manchester City get us underway here at Anfield. BBC Radio 5 Live, the World Service are with us as well. There will be people listening and watching this match all around the globe. It is Liverpool against Manchester City, and the ball is back with Ederson, who clears the ball out towards the left-hand side. City with the ball deep inside their own half.
The first big thing, John, Phil Foden's playing as that number 9. Sterling on the left-hand side, Mahrez on the right. We all thought that Foden would start on the left-hand side, Sterling centre forward. But Foden, he's occupying that centre forward position, but will drop deep to a number 10 space, and that'll mean that Mahrez and Sterling's pace will run in behind.
Yeah, so that's how City have started it. That's how Pep Guardiola has begun. But of course that's subject to change. But Bernardo Silva now, Manchester City, enjoying possession of the ball in the early stages, and Rodri just turning it back into central defence.
There you look at Cancelo's position now. Stones and Diaz just isolated with Rodri. Cancelo's playing as a central right-sided midfield player when City have the ball, so it's very similar to
Ederson has passed the ball straight to Sadio Mane, who's 30 yards out, but City are quickly back into position, and Liverpool couldn't take advantage. Most unlike Ederson, it was a brilliant pass straight to Mane.
I tell you what, it's Mane's poor touch, wasn't it, John? It's almost come off his shin pad and went back towards his own goal. If he'd have took it forward with his pace, it'd be a good opportunity for Liverpool.
That's Robbie Savage with us on 5 Live in the World Service, Welsh international, Premier League midfielder, and Liverpool conceding a free kick. Thiago has dived in there, centre field this is, just next to the centre circle, and is it Gundogan who was caught? The player has stayed down. I think it is İlkay Gundogan, who turned away from Salah, and then Thiago comes in and just catches the back of his heel.
Yeah, you would say that Thiago's nowhere near the ball. I think that should have been a yellow card, John. Doesn't matter what minute the game is, that should have been a yellow card.
I think it is a yellow. Yeah, it is a yellow. He's got the card out now, Michael Oliver. So a booking in the third minute of the match for Thiago for that foul on İlkay Gundogan, who's still down. And as Robbie and Pat Nevin were saying before the match, I think it's one of the great things about City at the moment, and the reason that they're on this run of 13 wins in a row, is the fact that so many of their players are in good form. They're in prime form. So there's no De Bruyne, no Kevin De Bruyne, no Sergio Aguero at the moment, but others have stepped up, and Gundogan is one of them. And if he's not able to continue, that would be a big loss. But here he is getting to his feet now. I think he's going to be okay.
Yeah, for Pep and Manchester City, he's been so influential. Kevin De Bruyne, for me, the best midfield player in the world. Not in this Manchester City side. Gundogan has stepped up. He's been, fantastic. And in Germany, I'm led to believe that they think he's the best German player at this minute in time.
9 goals this season from İlkay Gundogan, but it's his all-round play really, as much as the goals. Liverpool 0, Manchester City 0, and we do have a choice for you at the moment. The Six Nations match, the Wales-Ireland match, is on 5 Live Sports Extra. Wales 11, Ireland 13 was the last score that I had. It's now Wales 18, Ireland 13. You can listen to that 5 Live Sports Extra on your digital radio or on BBC Sounds, or via BBC Sounds. Here's Mane playing the ball into the penalty area. Firmino tries to angle it back to Thiago. Gundogan, who's okay, Gundogan steps in, and it's played up through the middle to Raheem Sterling. Gabriel Jesus only on the substitutes bench for this match. Jordan Henderson and Fabinho in central defence for Liverpool, and the ball is played out to Trent Alexander-Arnold, who I've very much enjoyed listening to Steve Crossman's interview with him in the build-up to this match that we were playing you earlier. It's on the Football Daily podcast today. It's well worth a listen. Fabinho, right-footed ball downfield. Salah brings it down, but Zinchenko is tight into him and plays it off Liverpool's leading scorer for a throw-in to Manchester City.
What was the score in the rugby, John?
18-13 to Wales, just to make it absolutely clear.
Do you know what, John? You look at Salah and Mahrez. I think they're the two best players in the game. You know, when it's that diagonal, that switch of play, the way they bring the ball down on the half volley instantly, those two are remarkable at doing it. So it's going to be interesting to see how, you know, those two in the game this afternoon, because two brilliant players.
Yeah, this Manchester City team, who, as they say, have really hit their straps at the moment with this club record run of consecutive wins, but also the fact that they've not conceded a goal in their last 6 Premier League matches. Kept 21 clean sheets, 21 in all competitions this season. 21 clean sheets out of 33 matches, and in one of them they conceded 5 goals against Leicester. But that was before Diaz came along, who unquestionably has made a big difference. Here's Alisson at the back. He's back from illness, passing the ball to Jones, and Bernardo Silva trying to close down Alisson, who has to hurry his clearance, which he does, and as a result he hits it straight out of play on the far side, 10 yards inside the Liverpool half. Manchester City attacking towards the Kop in the first half, setting up high here in the main stand with Robbie Savage, socially distanced, of course, to my right. Here's Mahrez on the right-hand side, and now Cancelo plays it in. It's at chest height. Oh, and it bounced through Foden and then bounced off Gundogan and runs through for a goal kick.
Yeah, just two teams just looking, you know, the way they both have lined up. Surprised me that Foden is the centre forward. Both teams trying to play out. City pressing really high, John.
They are, with Liverpool in possession in their own defensive third, and Alexander-Arnold hits a long pass to Firmino down the right, and then the challenge comes in on him just to knock it out of play for a throw-in, which is taken quickly. Thiago now in his orange boots, twisting, goes full 360 degrees and then goes back into central defence. Henderson looks up, he's going for a long pass over the top for Mane, but he's got City defenders either side of him, both Cancelo and Stones, and it bounces all the way through to Ederson, who's got the ball quite comfortably. It's a cold afternoon, as you won't be surprised to hear. There's been the occasional flurry of light snow, but heavy grey clouds above Anfield. The lights are on. It's 0-0, and it's Manchester City, the Premier League leaders, who have the ball in the middle of their own half.
John, it's fascinating. So City there had a goal kick, they play out. They go to a 3-2-4-1 formation. The two players are Cancelo and Rodri. And the centre halves, the two, Zinchenko's on the left-hand side, Stones on the right with Diaz in the centre. So it's amazing how they find a way to get out the way they play. Look at Cancelo's position out, chance.
Rodri finds Sterling on the left-hand side. Sterling up against Alexander-Arnold, lays it back. Zinchenko with a shot. It's cleared away by Henderson. He had to clear that. Foden was behind him. If he hadn't, Foden would have been in on the edge of the 6-yard box, but Henderson was able to get it away. Then Salah is crowded out by sky blue shirts, and Manchester City are back in possession in the centre circle.
Was a good block, John, as you said, because Phil Foden would have had a tap-in. Good defending.
And Manchester City have stuck with Foden through the middle. Mahrez is right out here on the right-hand side, and Sterling, who was found by Rodri there for that last attack. Sterling in a very wide position on the left-hand side. Really interesting tussle this. Remember, they drew 1-1 at the Etihad Stadium in the autumn. Terrific first half, if you remember that match. Kevin De Bruyne missing the penalty as well, and then it rather fizzled out in the second half after promising so much. Diaz's ball over the top, but that's an easy one for Alisson, all in black, to come to the edge of his area and catch.
Yeah, the reason why Sterling and Mahrez stay so wide, John, because that allows the space for Gundogan and Bernardo Silva. So if you're Wijnaldum, you're on Gundogan. You know, Thiago will go on Bernardo Silva. Then who picks Cancelo? Is that Firmino's job?
And just looking at them now, Robbie, when City have got the ball at the back, I mean, it's very clear, isn't it? Sterling right over on the left, Mahrez right over here on the right-hand side, and clearly, you know, that's countering the danger of Liverpool's fullbacks as well, isn't it?
It's fascinating. Liverpool then pressing high. It's fascinating tactically to watch this game, John.
Throw in to Manchester City, level with the edge of their own penalty area. Liverpool 0, Manchester City 0. Foden takes the ball down, gives it back to Rodri, who works it out to the far side, but Alexander-Arnold's going to get there ahead of Sterling. Sterling puts the challenge in, and then a heavy touch from Alexander-Arnold meant that Rodri was able to come across and take possession back for Manchester City. Excellent work from Gundogan. Now Bernardo Silva works himself out of a tight little situation there. He's another of the players who've run into form this season. Little Bernardo Silva gets the ball himself and then wins a throw-in on the halfway line. So 0-0 it is. Wales in front against Ireland. 3 o'clock kick-off in the Six Nations. Earlier in the Premiership, finished Newcastle 9, Exeter 15 in the Rugby Union Premiership. And if you've just switched on, you haven't heard the earlier football results. Tottenham won 2-0 against West Brom. Harry Kane came back, scored, so did Son. So Tottenham 2, West Brom 0, finished Wolves 0, Leicester 0 in our first commentary match. And it finished Hamilton 1, Rangers 1. Bottom of the table, Hamilton scoring a very late equaliser against Rangers. 6:06 later to talk about it all. We've got commentary on Sheffield United, Chelsea as well on 5 Live before Robbie and Chris on 6:06 with the phone in. Liverpool with the ball on the right-hand side. And here's Alexander-Arnold, 30 yards out, Wijnaldum. And Alexander-Arnold plays it in towards Firmino, whose ball forward took a deflection that bounced away for Manchester City. And then Cancelo is able to clear it towards the halfway line. Henderson got there first though. Now Robertson with a cross from the left. But Diaz is underneath that and is able to volley it high across the penalty area. Firmino nodded it back in. Then Thiago's underneath it. Then Alexander-Arnold heads it forward. It's head tennis between the two sides. And then eventually the ball is down with Sterling. It might have been tugged back there, but Sterling does well. Plays the ball up towards the edge of the box. But referee Oliver has brought it back for a foul on the halfway line. Let's get another update from Gareth Lewis watching Wales-Ireland in the Six Nations.
So 21-13 Wales lead, 67 minutes gone, and that Lee halfpenny penalty has taken Wales crucially more than a converted try clear. Wales looking to improve on last year when they only beat Georgia and Italy twice. They've not got long to go now to give Wayne Pivac their under pressure head coach a much needed win and victory to kick off this Six Nations campaign. 21 points to 13 they lead Ireland.
Thank you, Gareth. So Gareth with the commentary with James Hook and Tommy Bull on Sports Extra. Did you catch the score there, Robbie? 21-13 it is to Wales, just in case you missed it. Throw in to City, level with the edge of the Liverpool box, just taken short to Sterling. He plays it back to Rodri, square from him. Cancelo in that position Robbie's been talking about, forward of the centre circle. Then Gundogan, just a little touch there from Jones, took it away from Gundogan, and City have to start again on the halfway line.
John, interesting stat that's come up on social media, John. Since Thiago returned to Liverpool starting lineup on January the 4th, he's made 20 fouls. No other players made more.
Ball has been won back on the halfway line by Jones. Jones turned it infield, but it was behind Firmino, so that slowed the Liverpool momentum. Here's Thiago, who Robbie was talking about there, committing that early foul on Gundogan and receiving the yellow card. So a long time for him to play in the engine room with a yellow card.
Was that because of the stat or because Liverpool were breaking?
Both. Yes, an early yellow card, and have to cope with that in midfield. That must bring back a few memories, Robbie. Jones, mind you, you were a master, weren't you, of getting the early yellow card and then not getting the red. Here's Thiago playing it out to the left-hand side, taken down by Robertson with a high ball into the 6-yard box, a stretch by Ederson, but a comfortable catch.
Yeah, good possession from Liverpool there, just keeping the ball. Thiago getting on it, trying to dictate the play.
Ederson's just going to roll it back to Diaz. I was reading Jamie Carragher's newspaper column yesterday. He was putting Diaz forward as a leading contender for the Player of the Year this season. Here's Stones playing it forward. In slides Thiago on Bernardo Silva, who just pulled the ball away from him. He was sliding in there.
I think Bernardo Silva done well. He just seen Thiago coming, just used his body well, but he did dive in Thiago, didn't he, on a yellow card, John? That surprised me, actually. You know, you wouldn't associate Thiago, you know, making so many fouls, because he's so beautiful when he gets the ball.
But if he just slightly mistimed that would have been Liverpool down to 10 men in the first quarter of an hour. However, here's Mahrez playing it into the penalty area, headed away by Fabinho, bounces out in the D. Wijnaldum hooks it over the head of Bernardo Silva, and then he's shoved off the ball as he tries to reach it ahead of Rodri. So it's a free kick to Liverpool, halfway inside their own half.
That was brilliant from Wijnaldum, wasn't it, John? The skill and then the ability to move away from a challenge and then got fouled, just relieving, you know, the pressure on Liverpool.
It was lovely play by Wijnaldum, flicked it over the head of Bernardo Silva. Liverpool 0, Manchester City 0. City winning the ball back from Thiago. Cancelo it was, and now Bernardo Silva running in field. It's taken on by Mahrez, but Jones does well for Liverpool. Now 20 years old, a teenager, no longer, Curtis Jones. Robertson on the left for Liverpool, plays it forward, but that's intercepted by Rodri, who does really well against Firmino. Just held off the challenge, played it infield, where Diaz works it out to the left-hand side to Zinchenko. And now Sterling, infield from him to Foden. If you just switched on, Phil Foden is playing as the false 9. Gabriel Jesus only on the bench today, despite the fact he scored 2 goals in his last 2 appearances. Gabriel Jesus, including one of the goals in midweek in what was City's 13th win in a row. Zinchenko playing the ball over the top, but it's headed down by Alexander-Arnold. And now Salah, nice change of feet from him up towards Firmino, but that's strong and very good defensive work in the centre field. And now Mahrez is off and running, skips round one challenge, skips round another, plays it back. Gundogan works it towards the left-hand side. Sterling with a little bit of space there. Alexander-Arnold is onto him. Sterling's into the box. Oh, excellent tackle from Alexander-Arnold. Whipped the ball away from Raheem Sterling as clean as a whistle. And now Salah has the ball 10 yards inside Manchester City territory, beginning to warm up here at Anfield.
Brilliant defending from Trent Alexander-Arnold, John, was it? 1-on-1, Sterling into the box, had to make the challenge. It was a fantastic challenge. But then you look at City, you know, in transition, Diaz had run forward, Rodri just sat in as a centre-half next to Stones, and that nullified the counter-attack of Liverpool.
Yeah, and Sterling was at pace there as well.
Great defending.
Running at Alexander-Arnold. He had to get that right, but he did. So it is 0-0, Liverpool 0, Manchester City 0. And while Manchester City have been going win after win after win, Liverpool have won only 3 of their last 10 matches in all competitions. Not scored in their last 3 games here at Anfield.
They've never lost 3 home games in the run in the Premier League either, John. This could be a first today.
It could. And it is currently 0-0. Stones chipping the ball away up towards Foden, who under pressure headed it back. Cancelo is in there in front of the penalty area. Now Bernardo Silva. Liverpool pressing Manchester City, but Manchester City playing out of it, or are they? Foden's caught in possession, wanted a free kick, no free kick. Mane and Thiago, but then Bernardo Silva to the rescue for Manchester City. He's got the ball back and he plays it back into his own penalty area.
It hasn't got going, John, yet, has it?
Not quite yet. It's very tight. And as Robbie Savage has been saying, certainly tactically, it's very interesting. There's hardly any space out there at all. And Manchester City with the ball in front of their own penalty area, playing it out towards the left-hand side, where Diaz receives it back from Rodri. Diaz in danger of losing it, and indeed under pressure, very nearly gave it away. However, City still have it. Gundogan then gives it to Bernardo Silva. Now here's Mahrez down the right-hand side. 3 City players inside the box. Mahrez is challenged well by Robertson. Cancelo, Bernardo Silva, back to Mahrez now in the full-back position. Curling left-footed cross, headed away by Fabinho. Comes out, Salah's lost it, bounced off him. Zinchenko is all over it. Sterling now. Sterling tries to thread it across the box, but it's blocked by Curtis Jones inside his own penalty area, and Liverpool are able to get it away to the halfway line. But Mane was all on his own on the halfway line, only succeeded in losing possession, and now City bring it forward again. Zinchenko, City with Sterling, Gundogan again. Gundogan turning, Liverpool, 3 men around him, so City are very happy to go back into this centre circle here and switch the direction of play to the right hand side. Still goalless here at Anfield, almost 20 minutes played. Bernardo Silva, this cold wind that's blowing around the ground, just ruffling the shirts of the City players. Oh, and then Diaz gets it all wrong with a pass from just forward and left of the centre circle that he overhits massively, way out of play. It landed in the on the canvases in the lower tier of the Sir Kenny Dalglish stand, and as soon as he hit it, he immediately looked over his shoulder down to the pitch at Anfield. That must have been that massive divot. I don't know what happened there. It's one of your passes, isn't it?
I was going to say the pitches must have been like that when I played.
Liverpool 0, Manchester City 0. Fabinho heads it away on the edge of the box, and the ball eventually bounces out for a throw into Liverpool in their own right back area. Fabinho's missed the last 3 matches. Fabinho. Here's Wijnaldum now, and then Alexander-Arnold gets right behind that, but skies it actually. So City played forward, Gundogan low, lovely touch, Foden back to Gundogan, important interception back in there from Curtis Jones. City looking very dangerous around the Liverpool penalty area. Wijnaldum breaks away with the ball, shrugs off the challenge. Liverpool, their dangerous front 3 are all available. Salah on the right hand side receives it from Wijnaldum. Alexander-Arnold back to Salah.
Curtis Jones has done ever so well, didn't he? It was a 1-2, tracked the run, great defensive midfield play. And then Wijnaldum showing, good strength to shrug off Phil Foden. But how many final third entries have we had from either side, John, and no attempts on target? There's not been that many, is there?
Nope, not made a note yet.
Has there been a shot on target?
Nope. City, I think, carrying the greater threat at the moment. Wijnaldum in centre field. Seems almost unthinkable that he would not be a Liverpool player next season, but it seems very likely that'll be the case. Wijnaldum out of contract at the end of the season. Liverpool 0, Manchester City 0. Let's get back to Wales, Ireland, and Gareth Lewis.
Concerned. Well, Wales still leading by 21 points to 16 now. A penalty from Billy Burns for Ireland has made it a nervous final 7 minutes or so here in Cardiff. Wayne Pivac, the Wales coach, chasing a rare win against one of the big boys. Ireland looking for on a first away win under their head coach Andy Farrell. It's nervous stuff. Ireland down to 14 from the 13th minute of the game after Peter O'Mahony was sent off. As things stand though, Wales doing just enough. 21-16 their lead.
You can hear the final minutes of the match with Gareth and James Hook and Tommy Ball over on 5 Live Sports Extra right now. Here on 5 Live, the Premier League, the big match, Liverpool 0, Manchester City 0. Enthralling stuff, but without any end product. So we're halfway through the first half and it's still 0-0.
I heard Thomas Tuchel, John, talking about final third recoveries, pressing high up the park, and City have done that quite well. Final third recovery as they go forward.
Gundogan couldn't find the pass out to the left-hand side to Zinchenko, who puts his palms apart over there on the far side, wondering why that ball couldn't be delivered by Gundogan. And then Wijnaldum is fouled, little foul from behind by Bernardo Silva, who hairs back into position centre field. Free kick to Liverpool halfway inside their own half. So it is 0-0. I think the temperature is dipping. The winds are going to increase. I've been glued to the weather forecast over the course of the last week. Snow is.
You've been glued to the weather forecast? Really?
Because I was worried about this weekend with the snow big forecast. Anyway, we're okay at the moment. Here's Fabinho. It's like Ian Dennis who puts the wind up with me.
It must be an interesting house. I'm glued to the weather forecast.
It's Ian. Ian's in contact with me all the time. He says there's snow forecast tomorrow. Just be careful. You'll be all right. You haven't got far to go home. Here's Henderson, long ball from the back, and then Zinchenko gets his head to it. It's kept in play on the far side by Alexander-Arnold. Alexander-Arnold against Zinchenko, beats him to the line, then plays it in, and Mane, just outside the 6-yard box, just stabbed his header a yard over the top.
First big chance of the game. I think Mane will be disappointed he hasn't hit the target there. It's great play from Trent Alexander-Arnold on that right-hand side. You know, it's a diagonal ball. He keeps the ball in ever so well, shows great desire, and then beats the fullback and then just drives it towards, you know, the penalty spot, in between the penalty spot and the 6-yard line central. And Mane gets the run on the defender. And Cancelo, I think he's got to do better there, John. First big chance.
He could have allowed it to bounce out of play, Alexander-Arnold, but he was decisive, seized the initiative, and it nearly worked for Liverpool. And now Mane is in an offside position. Just while you were talking there, Robbie, as well, did you see Gundogan had a little nibble back at Thiago? A little foul on the halfway line, took his opportunity just to get one back after Thiago's earlier foul on Gundogan.
You know, 61% possession for Man City, but the first big chance of the game for Liverpool, John.
Yep, Mane with the header over the top. Ball is back with Alisson, who, even though he's got Foden just 3-4 yards away from him, just steps back and then chips the ball out and finds Robertson down the left-hand side. Robertson's ball into the right-back position. Stones plays it across to the Brazilian goalkeeper at the other end, Ederson, all in green. Long, high, left-footed clearance. Sterling got a shove in the back from Alexander-Arnold there. But it's given only as a throw-in, which Alexander-Arnold takes probably 10 yards away from where the ball actually went out of play. Usually the officials are red hot on that sort of thing. Wasn't closer to the opponent's goal, however. Here's Henderson in front of his own penalty area. Plays it across to Fabinho. It's Henderson and Phillips the other evening against Brighton, when Brighton played so well here, defended brilliantly. Ball at the back with the shaven-headed Brazilian Fabinho, then up to Thiago, and now Wijnaldum looking for Robertson down the left-hand side. Robertson with space in front of him, but he goes infield towards Sadio Mane. Firmino comes short, uses Wijnaldum though, and then Thiago. Liverpool with possession inside the Manchester City half. They've not had a great deal of that so far, and it's been given away by Thiago. And Foden now. Foden passes the ball into the path of Mahrez. Sadio Mane came back in with a challenge, just did enough to nudge over Mahrez, and it's a free kick to Manchester City to the right-hand side here, 30 yards out.
Yeah, Mane doing his defensive work there, running back, but it was one of those where, you know, like the David Luiz sending off, where he's just trying to stop his run and his knee clips Mahrez, obviously, you know, 40 yards out wide. Therefore it's going to be a free kick to Manchester City.
Jurgen Klopp down there, very warmly wrapped up. He's got his long padded coat, he's got a black woolly hat on, gloves, and he's watching Manchester City placing this free kick. A one-man wall, a Salah-shaped Liverpool wall. Gundogan is going to take this. Liverpool holding their line on the edge of the box. Gundogan chips it in over everyone, and it bounces away out of play for a throw-in near the corner flag.
Yeah, they tried to look for Rodri, so Liverpool holding the 18-yard line. The ball wide on this right-hand side. Rodri made a run from deep to get round the back, but the pass was overhit.
So it's a throw-in to Liverpool over there on the far side, not too far away from the Kop, with all of the various Liverpool supporters, banners draped over the seats. Here's Sadio Mane inside his own half, a little foul, takes the free kick. I think the ball might have been moving there as well, and indeed it was, because Michael Oliver says, no, I can't let you away with that. It's got to come back by the letter of the law. We've got a lot of letter of the law going on, haven't we, this season? Here's Henderson to Fabinho.
Surely, John, that Souček red card will be overturned, surely.
They have appealed against it. I think what largely went unsaid about that was the fact that Mitrovic didn't cover himself in glory there by any means.
Might be part of the simulation game tonight.
Well, I would like to think so, Robbie, with you and Chris from, well, I presume it'll be just after 9 o'clock tonight, after the Sheffield United Chelsea commentary. You're getting used to your late Sunday nights, aren't you? Here's Mane Challenged well by Cancelo. Mane went down, suggesting it was a free kick. Referee Oliver Lau plays to continue. Henderson's ball over the top, but that was well watched by Diaz. Comes out, Firmino with a shot, and Ederson had to be sharp there. Little steps to his left, pushed it over the top of the crossbar. It was bang on target from Firmino.
Jordan Henderson, brilliant there. The ball up to Foden. He was on the front foot. He got there in front of Foden. Then he looked for the run. It was a ball over the top. Salah just couldn't quite get it. It was a good defensive header. And then Firmino going towards the touchline, spins, hits it on the volley. And Ederson at that near post palms it over. Great technique from Firmino.
Corner for Liverpool. First corner of the match it is. 0-0 the score. Here it is, into the edge of the 6-yard box. Diaz was there to head it away. Oh, Foden has done well. Foden takes it on. He's beaten Alexander-Arnold. And then the final covering challenge from Liverpool is from Curtis Jones. And he was the last man, but he timed his run brilliantly and took the ball away from Phil Foden, who, if he'd been unable to do that, it would have been a clear run through for Foden.
Talking about the two youngsters before the game, weren't we? And that was a great example of desire from two fantastic players. Phil Foden, great skill, and then Curtis Jones, the energy and the desire to run back. If he wasn't there, big problems for Liverpool.
Yep, Jones, the Liverpudlian, the Liverpool fan, against the Stockport lad, Phil Foden, the Manchester City fan. And Liverpool and Jones came out on top there.
How quick was Jones then, John?
Very quick. Had to be as well. 0-0. Liverpool have created the two clearest chances so far, despite the early promise from Manchester City. Mane with his header over, and Firmino with the volley that was comfortably saved in the end by Ederson. The helicopter with its light on is heading our way as Alexander-Arnold crosses from the right-hand side. That's headed up. Ederson comes and catches the ball in front of his throat, high above Sadio Mane, and the danger's gone.
Yeah, and you can see that Liverpool now coming into the game, the possession stats are 51-49 now, just in City's favour, so they are getting more possession. They're getting the ball out wide. They're starting to create one or two good situations in City's final third.
And I think what's encouraging, or what will encourage Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool supporters, is that Alexander-Arnold is coming into the game there. Already put a couple of very good balls in from the right-hand side. That's been something that's been missing really for Liverpool, that delivery from the right and the left from Alexander-Arnold and Robertson, by their high standards. Here is Robertson now crossing. That's a good ball in, but Zinchenko is able to come across. Firmino couldn't get a meaningful touch on it. It bounces down in the City right-back area. Firmino back through Robertson and Jones towards the halfway line. That helicopter continues to buzz around, way over the top of the Sir Kenny Dalglish stand. 0-0, Liverpool 0, Manchester City 0, nearing the final whistle in the Wales-Ireland game. Wales just in front. Alexander-Arnold curling the ball across, and then across comes John Stones to get his head to it, and Zinchenko can't keep it in on the dead ball line. It's a corner to Liverpool.
It's a good job Stones did come across and head it, John, because it was into a great area. The ball landing central on the 6-yard line. Ederson come out, who's nowhere near it. I tell you what, Henderson's playing well, John, from that centre-half position. Playing very, very well.
Another corner from the far side, the right, and again it's Robertson who's going to take this rather than Alexander-Arnold, so it's the in-swinger from the far side, and Robertson raises his right arm. Here it is, the delivery into the 6-yard box, but it comes off the head of Rodri, and he glances it into the opposite full-back position, and it bounces out for a throw-in to Liverpool. Henderson is going to leave this for Robertson to take. Robertson making his way across from the far side. Henderson drops it, it bounces up. I really enjoyed listening to Trent Alexander-Arnold talking about Jordan Henderson and his influence and his presence around the club, the captain, and Fabinho in the centre circle. Fabinho playing it through towards Firmino, but it's cleared away. But Liverpool with Alexander-Arnold finds Salah on the far side. Salah further infield towards Wijnaldum, and now Firmino, and now Salah. Jones takes it up as well, middle of the Manchester City half. This is more like Liverpool, more like the champions. Thiago to the left-hand side, Robertson back to Thiago. Thiago plays it across to Salah. who tees up Jones, who plays it through into the box, but Sterling, excellent recovery from Sterling, sensing the danger, and he was in there to get to the ball before it could reach Alexander-Arnold. But here's Robertson now on the left-hand side. Liverpool are cranking up the pressure here. Thiago turns, gives it back towards Henderson, closer towards the halfway line. Jones turns between Foden and Sterling and gives it out to Alexander-Arnold, who looks for Jones. Jones is there and will go back into the centre circle. They're having the best spell now, Robbie.
He wants to get on the ball all the time, doesn't he, Curtis Jones, in that midfield area?
Yeah, confident stuff.
Just wants to get in between the lines on the half turn to look to go forward all the time. Plays in the half space ever so well.
Still 0-0 on 5 Live, with just over 10 minutes to go to half time. We'll have more on Wales Ireland in a moment or two. There can only be seconds left in the Six Nations match, the 3 o'clock kickoff. Still Wales 21, Ireland 16. Here are Liverpool with Wijnaldum, giving it out to Robertson on the left-hand side. Now back to Jones. Jones looks up, uses Sadio Mane, who turns. Rodri comes across, and then because of that, Mane gives it straight to Gundogan, and then Foden is fouled in the centre circle, and it's a free kick to Manchester City. And we've seen the momentum swing from City, who had the better of it earlier on, to Liverpool, who've had the better spell over the course of the last 15 minutes.
Yeah, they haven't been a threat, have they, at all? Man City, no shots to trouble Alisson yet. Maybe it might be just 5 minutes to go before half-time, just put forward on that left-hand side, put Sterling as a centre forward. They've been very rigid, forward, and you usually see City when they change positions, they've all really stuck to their positions.
Here's Gundogan on the left-hand side, finds Sterling up against Alexander-Arnold again. Sterling goes past him, now up against Fabinho. Oh, he goes down, it's a penalty. Fabinho came in with a challenge. Sterling was sent tumbling, and referee Michael Oliver, who was well positioned there, pointed straight to the penalty spot. Thiago asks a question, Henderson comes across, but these are not, it's not an angry Liverpool. They are asking the question, but the penalty's been given. Sterling.
John, I think what's happened is, as Sterling does ever so well, drives past Alexander-Arnold, drives into the box, and then it's Fabinho's trailing leg. As he jumps, he sticks his leg out and catches Sterling. I think it's a definite penalty.
So it's a penalty to Manchester City. So City have now been awarded penalties in 4 of the last 6 league meetings. They've missed 2 of the last 3 against Liverpool. Remember Mahrez here a couple of years ago. Remember De Bruyne missing at the Etihad earlier this season. Well, this time it's Gundogan, who's missed only 1 penalty in his career. Gundogan, right-footed against Alisson. Oh, he's put it over the top. He's missed the top left corner, and the ball lands in the cup, and it stays Liverpool 0, Manchester City 0. And remarkably, City have now missed 3 of their last 4 penalties against Liverpool.
Wow, short run up, wasn't it? Went for power, pulls it over the bar. Like, wow, what a miss that is. What is with City and penalties against Liverpool, John?
I'm amazed by that. And that missed by quite a distance. That was probably a yard over the top. That is a massive let-off for Liverpool. It's still 0-0. And what an opportunity missed by Manchester City and by Gundogan. The final whistle has gone in Cardiff. It has finished Wales 21, Ireland 16. More at half-time. But here's Robertson's ball in towards Salah, who chests it down, but the chest down took it away from him, and Manchester City are able to clear through Stones, who actually plays it off Mane, and it bounces behind for a goal kick. And the body language of the Manchester City players, it's written all over them. Frustration that they had the chance there to take the lead, 7 minutes to go to half-time, and they weren't able to take it.
It was great play, wasn't it, from Raheem Sterling? No, there was one moment early in the half, John, when he run at Trent Alexander-Arnold, and it was a great tackle, wasn't it? On this occasion, he went past Alexander-Arnold, then Fabinho stuck his leg out, was a penalty, and then Gundogan, short run up, smashes it, pulls it over the bar.
Full of confidence, Ilkay Gundogan. He's never scored as many goals in any season in his career as he has this season. That would have taken him to double figures. As I say, only missed one penalty in his career before. That was against Tottenham last season, if you remember. But has scored from the spot this season. But there, he went for the top left corner as he looked at it. And it was probably at least a couple of feet, possibly a yard over the top. And the ball landed halfway up the Kop. Liverpool 0, Manchester City 0. Just over 5 minutes to go to half-time now. Jones plays it infield. And then back to Fabinho, who conceded the penalty. Raheem Sterling winning it with his trickery. He's had a couple of runs like that, Sterling, the former Liverpool man, remember, into the Liverpool penalty area. As Liverpool win it back from Bernardo Silva. Firmino up towards Salah. Salah tried to work it through to Mane, but it was cut out on the edge of the box by Diaz. And Cancelo does well in a very tight position there against Thiago, and still drags the ball back, plays it past Thiago. Now Bernardo Silva, back to Cancelo again, and then Cancelo plays it centrally to Gundogan, who heads it back to the edge of his own penalty area.
You got to say, John, Sterling's so dangerous, isn't he, when he gets on a run and drives into the box. I think no player's got more penalties since 2018 in the Premier League than Raheem Sterling, because he's so dynamic and so positive in those areas.
Yeah, that's the danger. You know, that's what you get. You can play Sterling as the central man, but out there on the left-hand side there is that added threat. Mane passing the ball beyond Alexander-Arnold, who does well to keep it in on that far side. Alexander-Arnold, then back to Salah. Salah, low ball to Mane, edge of the box, back to Salah, shoots, takes a double deflection. They're appealing for handball. Referee Oliver says no. Jones to Robertson. Robertson on the left-hand side plays it across, and a stretch and a clearance by Diaz.
I tell you what, John, I tell you what, this could be handball. It's a close proximity, which makes me think it might not be, but the arm is outstretched. I've only seen it here. We got a replay on our screen now. No, it's not a penalty. What am I talking about?
I'm not even sure he was.
Rodri, it hit him on the arm.
I think he might have been just outside the box as well, actually.
So definitely wouldn't have been a penalty, John.
It certainly wouldn't. But they've had a look. You know, they always will. And it remains 0-0. Liverpool 0, Manchester City 0.
You've got to say, all the Liverpool players appealed, John, didn't they, in close proximity?
They did. But Michael Oliver was quite decisive about that. Salah playing the ball over the top, headed away by Cancelo. Bounces down for Manchester City. And then it's played forward by Rodri. Here's Foden. Foden turning, playing it into Thiago. It bounces favourably for City. Gundogan, now Zinchenko to Sterling, who's got his heels on the white line over there on the far side. Comes back infield. Cancelo in that central position, very nearly lost out to Mane, but was able to recover. And it finds Mahrez on the right-hand side. Remember Mahrez hitting the ball over the crossbar here at Anfield a couple of years ago, right at the end of the game. I'm not sure who missed it by most, Mahrez or Gundogan today. Here's Foden. Foden driving forward centrally, but showed too much of the ball to Fabinho, who was able to just clear it away from him. Robertson passes the ball across his penalty area to Alisson. And Alisson lifts it forward to Jones. Does well, actually.
Oh, brilliant
to
play.
Keep that in, Jones. However, Manchester City were all over him and win the ball back. Gundogan playing it forward. It's cleared away. Now here's Firmino through the middle. Firmino lifts it via an angle to Mane, who might have been caught right on the edge of the box by Cancelo. Referee Oliver says yes, he was. Just waited to see if an advantage was going to develop there for Sadio Mane. But this was a couple of feet outside the penalty area, and it's a free.
Oh, do you know what? We've just lost the line to Anfield, so you can hear the crowd in the background, but no John Murray or Robbie Savage, so we'll try and bring you that back. We're obviously very, very close to half-time anyway. 85058 at 5 Live Sport, the way to get in touch, just while we're waiting to get the commentary team back, and Liverpool have a free kick. We can rejoin them now, I'm delighted to say, for the free kick.
Referee just talking to the players in the Manchester City wall. And one of the City players is going to lie down behind the wall. Can't see who it is, so we've seen City do this before, haven't we, Robbie? It's a wall of 5.
Zinchenko. And
Zinchenko has lain down rather like do you remember that shot of William Rees-Mogg lying down in the House of Commons on the front bench? Free kick then. Thiago hits it via the top of the wall and then up and over the crossbar and behind for a goal kick. Judging by your expression, you don't remember that.
Well, so you watch the House of Commons, you watch weather reports. Wow.
just curious, Robbie, that's all. Corner from the left-hand side for Liverpool. Alexander-Arnold to take this one. Raises his left arm, swings it in the edge of the 6-yard box. Header down goalwards from Mane, but it's straight at Ederson, who's able to move swiftly to his left and just grab the ball into his midriff. And now Sterling plays it up through the middle. Manchester City quickly off on the counter-attack. Foden comes across, and then the ball bounces out of play on the far side. 2 minutes of added time have been added on, and it's a throw-in to Liverpool halfway inside their own half.
Do you know what, John? Looking at, looks like it's going to be 0-0 at half-time. And you think since Ruben Dias signed for Manchester City in September, they've only conceded 7 goals in the Premier League. It is quite remarkable, isn't it?
It is an astonishing change of fortune, isn't it? That they've been able to do that. And Stones and Dias together, they've started, this is the 14th match they've started together. And in those matches, City have conceded 1 goal. Ball over the top for City. Gundogan on the chase, but the ball bounced up high off the surface here. And Gundogan took it down, and he was shepherded away by Alexander-Arnold. Here's Sterling now on the left-hand side. Sterling back to Rodri, curls the ball across the box. But it's straight into the path of Jones. And Liverpool look to break away here in added time at the end of the first half. Manchester City having missed a penalty through Gundogan, so it's still 0-0. 5 Live in the World Service. Mane plays the ball to Salah on the right-hand side. Jones makes himself available. So a good first half, Curtis Jones. Jones, then with City players either side of him, he loses it to Sterling, and Manchester City clear towards the halfway line. Alisson, the Liverpool goalkeeper, relieved man when he saw the Gundogan penalty fly over the top corner. Liverpool play it forward towards Robertson. Cancelo comes across and then is able to turn the ball under pressure out of play. Liverpool take the throw quickly. Here's Thiago infield towards Firmino. He's dropped deep here. Firmino finds Fabinho in the centre circle. Wijnaldum is available as well. So is Thiago. And then Robertson takes the ball on the outside of his left boot, flicks it into his own path. Sadio Mane is going nowhere because that's the half-time whistle. So the big talking point in the first half, the fact that Manchester City missed a penalty in the 37th minute. Penalty won by Sterling, challenged by Fabinho. Gundogan stepped up and he hit it over the top corner into the Kop. But other than that, it's been tight, Robbie Savage. Liverpool with the header from Mane that was over the top, Firmino's volley that was comfortably saved by Ederson, and Manchester City, other than the penalty, really creating very little.
Very little indeed. Liverpool now more possession in the game, 54%. They grew into the game and having their best spell without really creating chances. And then Sterling's great run, positivity, getting to the box. It was a penalty. And then the big moment of the game, Gundogan putting the ball in the Kop. So 0-0.
Yeah, half-time here at Anfield, no goals. Liverpool 0, Manchester City 0.
Well, John, the old Jacob Rees-Mogg reclining incident almost broke social media. The penalty missed today has gone pretty close. So many people getting in touch with it. Let's read a few of them. Liz, I just don't know how a German international can take a penalty like that. We can't be doing that. Of all people, not even on target. London Money says, after that penalty, England could do a lot worse than get Gundogan in for the next Six Nations. Yes, very good. We have heard Daniel City terrible at penalties. This is Guardiola's refusal to let Ederson take them. Coward. There have been loads, Robbie, on social media of people saying that. Pep said in the past he's the best penalty taker.
Well, the interesting stat, Steve, City have scored 9 of their 17 penalties in the Premier League. So it's quite remarkable, really, to think that, you know, I suppose that 52.4% conversion rate.
Oh, that's very quick.
Yeah.
Done well to work that out.
I was good at school, John.
Well, clearly.
Maths, especially.
Yes, very good at maths.
And PE, believe it or not. Ederson. Yeah, it's a good point. You know, would it?
One day.
Yeah, one day, hopefully.
One day. You were also, as John alluded to very early in the game, good at avoiding a second yellow card. Now, I'm not saying the game today took a bit of time to get going, but I did spend 20 minutes doing some research on your career. All right, Robbie. So, you got 145 yellow cards in your career.
Did I?
You did. Only once did you get a second yellow, and I watched the video. It was never a second yellow.
Handball,
it was a disgraceful decision.
Shocking. Chris Foy.
So the question is, based on Thiago being in the engine room, sitting on a yellow card, how do you do it? When you're in a position of that importance, how do you avoid the second yellow and still have a big impact on the game?
You know, it's very difficult, you know. I was going to say in a big game, but I never played that many. You look at Jeff Hendrick yesterday, Steve, don't you? He'd been booked early and then he pulled the shirt. That for me is stupidity. You know, I was never in a position where you'd give a silly second yellow, and that was silly. Listen, if you're in the last 5 minutes, you defend league, you're throwing yourself in front of blocks and challenges, then okay, you might get one. But what I tended to do is that mentality of, do you know what? Don't do anything stupid. You know, like the pull of the shirt or things like that. I never changed the way I played, Steve. I always went in for challenges. Listen, I got away with a lot, to be fair. I should have had more, but I just think I was clever. And clever and Robbie Savage don't usually go together, as John's alluded to several times since I've been working with him.
No, don't do yourself down. Be clever. I think that's a good message for Thiago in the second half. Didn't look very clever. Ilkay Gundogan's penalty did it way over the bar, and that is why at half-time at Anfield it's Liverpool 0, Manchester City 0. We'll look ahead to the Super Bowl. We'll get more reaction to today's other games in the Premier League after the news on 5 Live with Alison Hughes.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
The makers of the Oxford AstraZeneca coronavirus vaccine say they believe it will be effective in preventing deaths, hospitalisations and severe illness caused by the South African variant. But researchers found the existing jab only offers limited protection against mild disease caused by that variant. 373 more people in the UK have died within 28 days of a positive COVID test. A further 15,845 people have been diagnosed. More than 12 million people in the UK have now had at least one dose of a COVID vaccine, after 550,000 first jabs were given out yesterday. The government is aiming to offer first doses to 15 million people in the top 4 priority groups by the 15th of this month. Gwent police say a 70-year-old man has been arrested on suspicion of murder. An investigation has begun after a 74-year-old woman was found dead at a house in Pontypool. Officials in northern India say 9 people have died and up to 200 are missing after an avalanche. The Himalayan glacier destroyed a dam, damaging a new hydroelectric project and forcing the evacuation of hundreds of villages.
COVID condition check.
On Wednesday, we're spending the day behind the scenes of Glangwili Hospital in Carmarthen.
We'll be hearing from frontline NHS staff about the pressures they're under and the work they're doing caring for COVID-19 patients.
Once you've scratched past the surface, there's a lot more going on than what you can actually see. It's not plain sailing every day, shall we say.
Hearing the personal stories of patients and from those in the community who are supporting the fight against the coronavirus pandemic.
All the nurses, doctors, they've all been so good and kind.
COVID condition check.
Throughout the day on Wednesday.
BBC 5 Live.
The voice of the UK.
More live Premier League football than anyone else.
5 Live's Premier League Sunday.
With Steve Crossman.
Half-time at Anfield, Liverpool 0, Manchester City 0. Second half commentary to come. Earlier it finished Wolves 0, Leicester 0. That means Tottenham Hotspur are the only team in the Premier League to score so far today. They beat West Brom 2-0 at home to end a run of 3 defeats in the league. Goals from Son and Harry Kane on his return from injury. As I mentioned, Leicester missed the chance to close the gap at the top of the table after they drew at Wolves. Here's Brendan Rodgers.
Point was probably a fair result for both teams, but no, I was really pleased with our defending, our organisation, our mentality, and like I say, it's they're off the back of a really good result in midweek, so to keep the clean sheet was nice, and like I say, we take our point. Yeah, we got in a few times in the first half. Second half, it looked like the goal was coming with some really, really good moments of play. But sometimes you need that little bit of luck as well to fall for you, and we didn't quite get that.
Kasper Schmeichel proved his worth once again. That was, well, it wasn't a standing save, but it was just the way he stopped Fabio Silva from taking that opportunity.
Yeah, it's a great skill he has. He's so agile. His speed to get out, and then, like you say, to spread himself. I think it's something that's synonymous in the Schmeichel family. They make themselves big, and that was a great save with Kasper. And he always does it. There's always a game where he produces for us. And that's why he's one of the top goalkeepers at this level.
How important is it to have Jamie Vardy back? You had him on for 30 minutes at the end there.
Yeah, we just see the threat the minute he's on the pitch, how you can stretch the game, and gives that energy to the team. So great to have him in the game and back available now.
That's Brendan Rodgers. It is Super Bowl Sunday. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Kansas City Chiefs in the biggest game, arguably in all sport. The most watched, certainly. We'll bring you commentary from 11 p.m. tonight here on 5 Live. Big part of our team is former NFL player Jason Bell. Afternoon, Jason.
Afternoon, and what a night we have. I'm so excited for the Super Bowl. I'm telling you, I'm anxious like I have to play the game. The intensity is real coming from me.
This is not your first rodeo. So anybody listening to this who's like, right, I am staying up for the Super Bowl, what do you have to do to make sure you get through?
Well, first of all, it has to be an entertaining game, and we're going to have that because we have the legend Tom Brady against the new legend Patrick Mahomes. They're going to be dueling it out. And then if you're listening to us, we will keep you engaged, entertained, educated, and you got to have a beverage to keep yourself going and some snacks. That is the key to a Super Bowl.
You know what, I guess because the quarterbacks are the story, without wishing to jinx it, if you know the two QBs are going to be the people everyone is talking about, that lends itself to an exciting, high-scoring game, doesn't it?
Yeah, without a doubt. And both these offenses can score points in a hurry. Patrick Mahomes and Kansas City have been the best offense all year. And we know what Tom Brady can do with any team. And he is loaded with this Buccaneers roster. So at any moment, they can come on. He is the comeback kid. So you're just ready for points everywhere to be scored.
Does this kind of feel like a bit of a changing of the guard between Brady and Mahomes?
Yeah, without a doubt. That's why this game is so important for Mahomes, because if he has any ability to catch up to Tom Brady, he's going to have to beat him in a head-on-head matchup. He has to beat him if he wants to catch him and be the greatest of all time.
18 years between the two of them. Is there anything that Mahomes is kind of the sort of pretender to the throne? Is there anything he can do that Brady can't at this stage in his career?
Oh, movement. The way Patrick Mahomes moves, he can throw the ball any direction off of any platform. Brady can't do that. Brady has to be in the pocket, protected. His footwork has to be the same, very repetitive. That's the way he plays. That's the way he's always played. But Patrick Mahomes is just so creative and athletic when he throws the ball. He's something we've never seen.
Right, I've got to make notes here, Jason, because I will obviously be staying up to listen. You mentioned snacks. What should I be getting in?
I mean, it's all up to you. That's the beauty of the Super Bowl. Whatever you're into, it's okay. It's all accepted.
All right, and what will you be eating then?
Oh, I'm doing the broadcast, man. It's water, it's protein bars, it's everything. I'm an athlete. I got to keep it together, man. Nothing too crazy.
I am not. So crisps and beer, I think.
I like that.
Jason, thanks very much and enjoy the show.
Appreciate it.
Oh, can't wait. 11 p.m. tonight. It's going to be brilliant. The Super Bowl live on 5 Live. And with Mahomes and Brady and that story, it's all set up for a bit of a Hollywood ending, I'm sure. And in fact, speaking of Hollywood, Golden Globes nominations were earlier this week. There was that huge controversy. This is totally away from football. I May Destroy You by Michaela Cole, which is brilliant. Didn't get a nomination. Emily in Paris did get a nomination. One of the writers on that show, Deborah Coe-Pakin, said that she was devastated by that, even though her own programme has been recognised. The reason I'm mentioning this is because she is fascinating. She's had a great career. She was a war photographer in Afghanistan. She is going to be on 5 Live tomorrow on Nihal's show with Jeff Lloyd from 1 p.m. Deborah Coe-Pakin. That is definitely something to put in your diary. I think even the best scripted drama would be challenged, though, by the story we've had at the Principality Stadium today. Wales coming from behind to beat Ireland 21-16. Ireland's Peter O'Mahony was sent off after just 14 minutes. Despite that, they ended up leading the game, only to be pegged back. George North and Louis Rees-Zammit scoring tries for Wales, ending a run of 4 straight Six Nations defeats. Let's hear from their captain, Alan Wynne-Jones, with Sonia McLaughlin.
There was a bit of pressure on Wales, wasn't there? How important is it to have started this championship with the W?
I think if you're fortunate enough to pull this on, there's always pressure. I know what you're saying. There's particular pressure, obviously, after the autumn we had. But I won't shy away from that. I think the game today probably told the story of what happens when you come under a pressure, but the positive pressure of being a man to the good, if you like. But, we came through, thankfully.
You did. Ireland went a man down and then they hit you with 13 unanswered points. Was patience the message? Yeah, very much so. I think, that can sometimes galvanise a team, and credit to Ireland. We knew what they were going to bring, and like I said, that probably galvanised them in that middle part of the game. Yeah, tries a little bit hard to come by for Wales in the autumn. How pleasing to say George North and Louis Rees-Zammit go over. Yeah, I think obviously George's was the opportune one. I think we're happy with we constructed Zamo's one. We'd like to think we probably could finish more off with our possession that we have, but we've got our foot in the door at the start of the competition.
That's Alan Wynne-Jones. We're going to go back to Anfield then. Second half commentary to come of Liverpool-Manchester City 0-0 thanks to that penalty miss from Ilkay Gundogan. Just reading some more of the messages you've been sending in. Mick, Mahrez, De Bruyne, now Gundogan. 3 wretched penalties against Liverpool. This is such a bizarre curse. Sam Queck's been on social media. Good job there are no fans in the Kop. That penalty could have hurt someone. Our own Phil McNulty says if City get another, then they should let Ederson take it. He's not the only one saying that. Your commentary team, John Murray and Robbie Savage. Robbie, in Gundogan, we're talking about a guy who scored a penalty at 22 in a Champions League final against Manuel Neuer. So if you're in a team with a guy like that and he misses a penalty, can that have quite a big psychological impact on you?
No, I don't think so. I think, his performance after has been good. Getting on the ball, not hired. He's missed a penalty. Listen, the best players in the world miss penalties. It's just one of those things. I think he's missed a few now, hasn't he? No,
that's the second one he's missed.
Yeah.
He's only missed one before.
Yeah, well, he's missed 2, yeah. So they won't affect him at all, I don't think, Steve. But listen, thanks for your stats. I didn't know that, That was 145 yellows. I thought it was 89 in the Premier League. I didn't know the total was 145. Wow, good stats, Steve.
That's all right. I told you. I'm here for you. And also here for you are Robbie Savage and Joe Murray with the second half at Anfield.
Thank you, Steve. The City players are out. They're not making any changes. Liverpool's players just emerging from the wide tunnel down below with the Liverpool slogans written in white on the red background. And they also will be unchanged at the start of the second half. So Liverpool with Alisson in goal. A back four of Alexander-Arnold, Fabinho, Henderson and Robertson. In midfield, Jones, Thiago, Wijnaldum. And then the front line of Salah, Firmino and Mane. And the Manchester City side, Ederson in goal. Cancelo, Stones, Diaz and Zinchenko. In midfield, Rodri with Bernardo Silva and Gundogan. And then Mahrez on the right, Sterling on the left. And Phil Foden playing as the false 9 in this match. But City, even though there's been plenty of intent, have created relatively little.
Well, and you say that, John, that was City. The penalty was the only shot they had inside Liverpool's 18-yard box in the whole half. Liverpool
Didn't create much more at the other end. Mane with his header over and Firmino's volley that was saved. And it is Liverpool with the ball at the back that is fired up to Firmino. on the halfway line. But City, sky blue shirts, white shorts, sky blue socks against Liverpool in their first choice kit, the all red with the white trim. Mane playing it into the penalty area. Salah with making a run across the box, but Zinchenko went with him very well and cleared it right-footed.
Both teams have defended ever so well, John, haven't they? Yeah, there was one mistake which led to the penalty from Fabinho, but other than that, both defences are coming out on top.
Well, that's the secret to Manchester City's success this season. All of these clean sheets, kept 6 in a row in the Premier League, and City with the main men now in central defence, Stones and Diaz together. Quite a partnership that they've put together. Aymeric Laporte, who has missed so much last season, very much second string at the moment. He's on the bench for Manchester City, as is Gabriel Jesus. I suspect we will see Gabriel Jesus at some stage in the second half. Thiago playing it out to the left-hand side, and Curtis Jones is out there. Jones plays it back to Wijnaldum. As Liverpool attack towards the Kop in the second half, Thiago tried to slip it through on the edge of the box, but hit it straight to Cancelo. Fireworks being set off from behind the Kop, actually right behind the Kop. These yellow, green, red fireworks are exploding, it seems, right over the roof of the Kop to our right. It's become a bit of a thing, hasn't it? As Liverpool have the ball inside their own half. Here's Fabinho. It's not unlike when Liverpool lifted the Premier League trophy last year with all of the fireworks going off on the roof of the stadium. Still they go off. It's quite a display, this. Jones to Mane, who just steps away from Bernardo Silva, then gives it out to Alexander-Arnold. Early cross from Alexander-Arnold. That's been a bit of a feature, actually, when he's had the opportunity. The early ball into the box, but Cancelo was underneath that for Manchester City, and now it's Sterling as Manchester City break deep inside Liverpool territory. Sterling it was, who won the penalty in the first half, challenged by Fabinho. But it remains 0-0. BBC 5 Live's Premier League Sunday, and the BBC World Service live from Anfield on this cold February afternoon. We've still got commentary to come from South Yorkshire, Sheffield United, Chelsea from 7:15 as City are caught offside. Raheem Sterling, and that's a free kick to Liverpool. And after that, it'll be Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton with the late Sunday night 6:06 phone in. And you can get in touch on 85058 anytime you like.
And there's not much to talk about from this game so far, John, is it? Other than, you know, City not getting beat here, you would suggest that they're massive favourites to win the Premier League once again.
Foden slips as he plays the ball out towards Sterling, but it bounced back to him. Now Sterling is around Alexander-Arnold, plays it across. Foden with a chance, saved by Alisson, but it's converted in the 6-yard box by Gundogan, and Manchester City have the lead. He missed a penalty in the first half, but he was there in the 6-yard box in the second. It's Gundogan, it's Manchester City. They lead at Anfield 1-0.
To answer Steve's question at half-time, how will it affect the players in the side? How will it affect Gundogan by smashing that penalty into the Kop? There's the answer. Great reaction from Man City's wonderful play once again from Raheem Sterling. The way he glided past players, and then Foden, the little 1-2. But I've got to say, Trent Alexander-Arnold, 1-on-1 there. Poor play. And then Foden, a shot low down to Alisson's left. It's a good save, but then Gundogan was quick to react. Robertson couldn't get there. 4 yards out, smashes it into the net. Brilliant from Man City, but I've got to say, John, the one-on-one situation there from Trent with Sterling, defensively poor from Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Sterling just danced past him so easily, and Foden very nearly scored himself. That was a really sharp save by Alisson down to his left from only a few yards away from Foden, but he could only push it out into the 6-yard box, and Gundogan was there to score his 10th goal of the season for Manchester City in all competitions. And Manchester City are exactly where Pep Guardiola wants them to be here at Anfield. Guardiola, who's never won as a manager at Anfield, but seeing his team winning 1-0 now at a ground where Manchester City have not won since 2003. And with this scoreline, Liverpool 0, Manchester City 1, if it stays like this, City's grip on this title race will be extremely tight.
Yeah, it'll be over, John. Nobody's going to catch Manchester City. You know, they just don't concede goals. You know, they can win games by playing beautiful football. They can win games the hard way. Just a fantastic football inside. When Liverpool have all their players fit too, John, as well, they are. And they're a match for Man City. You know, the champions, but, you know, because of their injuries, because of key players out, and people might argue Kevin De Bruyne and Aguero.
Yep. And they'd be right to do that. Here's Foden on the left-hand side, swings it across. Sterling in the middle, couldn't get there. And it very nearly reached Mahrez. But Liverpool were just able to clear it through Robertson. So close to Sterling, who would have been all on his own in the middle, 8 yards out, and that could easily have been 2-0. Jurgen Klopp stands, hands behind his back. Pep Guardiola just sits calmly on his red Anfield seat in the dugout, satisfied with what's happened now. No matter now that penalty miss at the end of the first half from Ilkay Gundogan, because he was there to slide in and score and give Manchester City the lead. And now Liverpool, the onus is on them. And remember, Liverpool have failed to score in their last 3 matches here at Anfield. They've got to break that sequence if they're going to get anything out of this against the current Premier League leaders.
And that'll be a Premier League, their record. You know, 3 defeats in a row at home in the Premier League. It's not happened before. Will it be a first here this afternoon, John?
I mean, it's such a dramatic change of fortunes for Liverpool as City played up towards Foden on the halfway line. Sterling wants it over here, but Foden goes short to Cancelo and then back into his own half. Yeah, until this run, Liverpool were almost unbeatable here.
Was it 68 games?
68 home Premier League matches without defeat. They scored in 42 consecutive home league matches. And suddenly now, the dry spell. Here's Alexander-Arnold on the right-hand side. Liverpool go back to Thiago centrally. Salah, Firmino and Mane. Now is the time that they have to deliver against Manchester City, who've got their sights set on taking the Premier League title off Liverpool. City, who've won it 4 times in the last 8 seasons. Alisson in front of his penalty area. Alisson turns it out to the left-hand side. And it'll be taken forward by Henderson, the Liverpool captain. Finds the left-back, Robertson. Liverpool coming forward, attacking towards the Kop. Back to Thiago. Thiago, serial title winner with Barcelona and Bayern Munich. His ball forward onto the head of Zinchenko, chosen at left-back by Pep Guardiola today. And then Diaz goes back to Ederson, who swipes it left-footed away downfield. Oh, Fabinho missed his header, but he was impeded by Foden, says referee Oliver. And it's a free kick to Liverpool halfway inside their own half. Liverpool 0, Manchester City 1, Robbie Savage.
Yeah, see, the time was right there for Ederson just to smash it, and I thought Fabinho done well there. It was 1-on-1 with Foden, just used his body. It was a foul from Foden.
More Premier League football later this evening. Sheffield United against Chelsea on 5 Live. More Premier League football on 5 Live tomorrow night. Leeds United against Crystal Palace, the team that everyone wants to see this season. So you'll hear that live from Elland Road. And then we've got FA Cup commentaries on Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday. Here's Firmino to Jones, 25 yards out, back onto his left foot, goes for goal, but sends his shot a couple of yards over the top of Ederson's crossbar.
Yeah, we haven't seen much at all, have we, from Salah. Mane with that one big chance in the first half with a header. Firmino, you know, his volley in the first half.
And that's been about it. Created nothing in the second half yet, other than that shot over the top by Jones. And already 10 minutes played in the second half. Gundogan scoring in the 50th minute for Manchester City. Here's Fabinho at the back. Gets the ball down, plays it to Jones. Jones under pressure from Gundogan. Liverpool work it to the left-hand side in front of the almost completely empty Kenny Dalglish stand. See one or two people on the gantry that we used to commentate from, hanging from the roof of the stand there. Here's Alexander-Arnold on the right-hand side. His cross is blocked by the shins of Zinchenko, and the ball bounces back out towards the right and out for a corner to Liverpool from the right. Urgency now from Liverpool has to be. Liverpool must get something out of this game. Otherwise, they'll be 10 points behind Manchester City tonight, the champions. Robertson's going to take this. Alexander-Arnold trots away. Robertson has got a cameraman hovering right next to him. Robertson takes it left-footed into the 6-yard box. Ederson comes, but it's actually headed away for City by Rodri. Centre circle, Alexander-Arnold left-footed, high ball over the top. Cancelo allowed it to bounce. He was hoping it was going to kick on. He's got Liverpool men either side of him, but he works it away, just flicks it away, and he finds a teammate in sky blue, and then Bernardo Silva is bundled over on the far side by Henderson, and it's a free kick to Manchester City, halfway inside. In fact, it's only given as a throw-in.
If I said to you, John, which player scored the most goals so far in 2021, what would your answer be?
Is that in the Premier League, or...?
Yeah.
So it must be Gundogan, then, is it?
Yeah. That's how well he's playing, John, and he's missed a penalty.
Well, that is 8 goals since mid-December that he's scored, and 8 in 13 appearances it is for Ilkay Gundogan. But it's not just that, is it? It's his
overall play. Brilliant, magnificent. And we said it before the game, didn't we? You know, with at time he'll be advanced of Phil Foden.
Do you think he's blossomed because there's no David Silva? Yeah, you can think about that, because Alexander-Arnold plays it across. Oh, Jones has done well, ridden the challenge, shoots across goal, and just wide of the foot of the far post via a little deflection as well.
I tell you what, I thought John Stones done ever so well there. Just stuck his foot out, and I took it past the post. But Curtis Jones, who's played well for Liverpool this afternoon, good play, curls it, and I think it's the touch from Stones which takes it past the post.
Corner then, Alexander-Arnold with this one, the outswinger, that's headed up and away near the penalty spot. Rodri again, he headed away the last corner, headed the first one away from Robertson, headed the second one away from Alexander-Arnold, and Liverpool are making no impression with the set pieces such as they've had. Liverpool 0, Manchester City 1. If you've just joined us, big game in the Six Nations was won by Wales, 21 points to 16. We'll have more on that later. You'll be able to read all about it, of course, on the BBC Sport website. Earlier, Tottenham were winners against West Brom. Kane and Son both scored. So Harry Kane now with 13 Premier League goals this season, 2 behind Mo Salah with 15. Wolves 0, Leicester 0 was our first Premier League commentary of the day. Finished Hamilton 1, Rangers 1. Late equaliser for Hamilton, the bottom club, against the leaders Rangers. You'll be able to talk all about it with Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton just after 9 o'clock tonight on 606. Ball played infield by Liverpool. Here's Jones again, holding off Rodri just outside the D. Uses Thiago. Thiago stabs it forward. Firmino in the D, tries to work it back, slightly behind Jones. But Manchester City, they've defended so well, they know their jobs so well, that this is going to be a real challenge for Liverpool to find a way through. Ball played by Jones for Mane, but it was too far ahead of him. Gundogan was back in there, the goal scorer, and Manchester City played away. Sterling very nearly got there first. Alexander-Arnold just beat him to it. Liverpool have to start again from inside their own half. Liverpool trying to build ahead of steam, Robbie.
Yeah, they are, but so compact. You know, City defending the width of the 18-yard box. No space between the lines, good shape.
Mane loses out to Bernardo Silva, Henderson in on the challenge. Then it's played forward by Mahrez, Bernardo Silva. Liverpool are stretched here. Foden's available in the middle, but it goes back towards the centre circle to Gundogan, who turns and shapes his body as he passes it to Sterling. Sterling's up against Alexander-Arnold again, but Mane is back to help him out this time. So on this occasion, Sterling doesn't go running at Alexander-Arnold, and Manchester City, with the lead that they have, are content to go back towards the halfway line. Ideal scenario this for Manchester City, coming here with the lead that they've got, the 2-point lead at the top of the table, with 2 matches in hand against Manchester United, the 7-point lead that they've currently got over Liverpool. To be 1-0 up is absolutely They've got Liverpool where they want them. Now Mahrez running at Robertson, checks back, ball bounces away, but it bounces back to Manchester City. Cancelo is there, and he will play it back towards the halfway line. And suddenly, after that spell of Liverpool pressure, Manchester City have responded, and now Liverpool can't get the ball off the Premier League leaders. Zinchenko, the fair-haired Ukrainian. I was listening on breakfast this morning. They had a Ukrainian Liverpool fan on who was talking about where he'd been watching this game in Kiev. Here's Sterling. Sterling gets the ball down. Gundogan now plays it infield into the path of Rodri, who works it across, came off the head of Jones, and then on the edge of the box, Robertson is challenged by Bernardo Silva, and then up towards Mane, who was just fouled inside his own half, and it's a free kick to Liverpool. Manchester City leading 1-0.
You know, City dominating the game without creating that much, you know, but you go back to the goal, the way Sterling went past Alexander-Arnold. We've seen the penalty as well. Yes, it was Fabinho who brought Sterling down, but the way on that occasion Alexander-Arnold was great pass from Neely from...
Diaz has given it straight to Salah, and then the recovering challenge, he's fouled him. It's a penalty to Liverpool now in front of the Kop. Diaz, the ball bounced off him. It's a yellow card for the Manchester City defender. He attempted to clear it after Alexander-Arnold's long ball forward for Salah. He cleared it straight into Salah. It bounced back past him, and he just bundled him over inside the penalty area as Salah was looking to go through. So only a yellow card for Diaz.
Tell you what, Salah, he's got the ball, he drives into the box. Diaz grabs his arm. Listen, Mo Salah has certainly made the most of it.
He's thrown himself down, but there was contact. He grabbed his arm. It's a penalty. VAR have had a look at it. Michael Oliver was certain. So, chance for Liverpool to equalise. Mo Salah, who scored all 6 of his penalties this season, in front of the Kop. This is where Gundogan missed in the first half. Salah sets out to the right, left-footed, high into the net. It's a goal, it's an equaliser for Liverpool. It's 1-1 here between the champions and the Premier League leaders now.
The same corner, Gundogan went for, put it over. No mistake from Salah, wonderful penalty. Great desire from Salah, wasn't it, John? A mistake from Diaz. Yes, he pulled Salah's arm. Was there enough for Salah to go down? Listen, I'd have done the same thing if I was Salah. And he puts the penalty away ever so well. 1-1.
Mohamed Salah, scoring his 22nd goal of the season, his 16th in the Premier League League's leading scorer this season. But Sterling's off on a run. Sterling still going, trying to find Mahrez, but the pass from Sterling was just a little short, and so Robertson was able to move across and clear it away downfield. Well, that's a lifeline for Liverpool. There wasn't any great prospect, was there, of Liverpool fighting their way back into the game, but that slip, that uncharacteristic slip from Diaz, passing the ball, clearing it straight into Salah, he was a little unfortunate.
Was there enough pressure from Diaz on Salah's arm, John, for Salah to go down?
That's the question.
I'm asking you.
Well, no, there wasn't. That's the answer to the question. For him to go down in that manner, no, there wasn't. But Diaz grabbed his arm in the penalty area.
Will Salah feature in the simulation game, do you think?
Not for the first time. Mahrez crossing from the right-hand side, but Alexander-Arnold was able to get up in between Foden and Gundogan and head it away. Pep Guardiola, very warmly wrapped up Pep Guardiola. We've not really seen much of him, have we, on the edge of the coaching area? He's got one of those big scarves of his on, very wise. Here's Mane. Mane turns, gives the ball out towards the left-hand side to Robertson. Robertson crossed straight into Cancelo. Ball stays in play. Robertson plays it back towards the halfway line. Liverpool 1, Manchester City 1. Just as it was at the Etihad when they met in November.
And there was a missed penalty in that game, John, wasn't there? Kevin De Bruyne.
That's correct. Ball played over the top. Cancelo is able to head it away as he backed away. Rodri slips as he gives it to Gundogan. Neither manager, Klopp nor Guardiola, I was going to say, has made a change yet, but as I look down there, it's Shaqiri who's being prepared to come on for Liverpool. That's going to be the first substitution for either team. I was wondering who it might be. So presumably one of the front three, or is Jurgen Klopp feeling that he's got to go for this? Here is Mahrez on the right-hand side. Mahrez back to Cancelo centrally. Cancelo works it across to the left-hand side. Sterling gets it down. Alexander-Arnold goes very tight on him, and then he gets support from Thiago. Just puts a foot in and takes it away from him. But City are still in possession. This is very, very interesting now. How long have we got left? 25 minutes to play. 1-1. The champions really need to win it if they can. City, of course, want to win it. If they get a point, that's absolutely fine. Here's Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva to the right, to Cancelo. Left-footed ball is headed away on the edge of the box by the Liverpool captain. Henderson next to his England colleague Foden. Salah goes down very easily in the centre circle, doesn't win a free kick this time from referee Oliver. Sterling is beaten, challenged, tackled by Alexander-Arnold. Alexander-Arnold, then a long pass. Well, that's easily headed away by Stones. And Rodri is there to tidy it up. So that the goal that Liverpool have scored, only the second goal that Manchester City have conceded when Stones and Diaz have started together for Manchester City. And that one obviously coming from the penalty spot. The change is going to be Thiago. Yeah, Jurgen Klopp feeling that he's got to go for this, taking off one of the midfielders. And it's a double change. Milner's coming on as well. So Thiago is replaced by Shaqiri, and James Milner, Premier League winner with Manchester City a couple of times. He was there. He was on the bench on that famous day against Queen's Park Rangers back in 2012. And it's going to be... Is it Curtis Jones who's coming on?
Yeah.
I'm surprised they don't.
Yeah, I think he's played well, Curtis Jones. You know, Milner's surprised when he came off. Was it against West Ham when Curtis Jones come on and Klopp and Milner had a laugh on the sideline?
Right.
Now it's the other way around. Can Milner have a big impact on the game like Curtis Jones did when he came on in that game?
And how are Liverpool going to play this with Shaqiri, Mane, Firmino and Salah on? Shaqiri started off as the right-sided midfielder. City coming forward. No Thiago now on the field. Sterling does well, gets away from Alexander-Arnold, crosses across the penalty area. Foden went down. Then the shot from Bernardo Silva on the edge of the D, but he sliced it well wide. I was just wondering, when Foden was challenged near the penalty spot and went down, whether we might have perhaps even seen another penalty there, but it's only a goal kick for Liverpool.
Good play from Sterling. You know, good defending from Robertson it was, I think, John, who got across and put the blocking on Phil Foden. The ball was perfect, wasn't it? 20 yards out central. Bernardo Silva running onto it, smashes it just past the post.
Liverpool 1, Manchester City 1. 5 Live and the World Service from the BBC, and all manner of live sports still to come today on BBC Radio. Here's Mane turning and running at the penalty area, then giving the ball to Robertson on the left-hand side. Robertson back towards Firmino. Firmino, little shuffle from him into the penalty area. Mane turns, crosses left-footed, headed away by Zinchenko, who got up high, and Manchester City clear the ball away on the edge of their own penalty area through Gundogan. In fact, he's running it away. Gundogan angles a low pass out to Foden, and Foden tries to go round Fabinho, and he's tugged over, he's hauled over Foden. Certain yellow card for Fabinho. Foden was away from him.
Good yellow card to commit. No, from Fabinho there for his side, because Foden was away down that left-hand side. They had runners going into the box. Hugely important foul there from Fabinho.
And Gabriel Jesus is going to come on for Manchester City's first change with 20 minutes to play. So, free kick for Manchester City on the left-hand side. So with Jurgen Klopp committing more men forward, Pep Guardiola sees this as the time to bring on his number 9. Won't happen just yet. Gabriel Jesus waiting to come on. But Gundogan is going to swing in this free kick from the left-hand side. The score is 1-1. In fact, he takes it short to Foden, takes a touch, left-footed ball, lovely ball in, and it's scored! It's 2-1 to Manchester City. No, it's not. The goal is ruled out. It was Stones who was in there, who converted it on the stretch, but the flag is up and the goal does not stand. It's 1-1.
This is going to be so... I've just seen it for the first time. I tell you what, John, I think it's the right call. It's so close, isn't it? Wow. It's a wonderful ball from Foden. Stone stretches out and volleys it in off the post. It is so tight.
Right decision, though.
I think it is, yeah.
Credit to Simon Bennett, who is the assistant on the far side. There were other City players in an offside position. The question was whether Stones was, but he was. And City, the change sees Mahrez leave the field. Mahrez, who's had a couple of moments, but not much more than that.
Yeah, I think now we'll see Gabriel Jesus go into the number 9 position. Foden going over to that right-hand side.
So on he comes, Gabriel Jesus, who's never scored at Anfield for Manchester City. 2 goals in his last 2 appearances, though, in the wins against Burnley and Sheffield United. Manchester City making the change, and Phil Foden has run out towards the right-hand side. So Liverpool 1, Manchester City 1. We've still got Sheffield United, Chelsea to come on 5 Live this evening from 7:15. John Akers and Leon Osman will bring you that, and then after that it's 6:06 with Robbie and Chris, and then after that it's the Super Bowl. Vernon Kay is on 5 Live tonight, presenting our coverage of the Super Bowl. Darren Fletcher with the commentary. So that is from round about 11 o'clock. It's on BBC Television as well. Starts on BBC 2, then on BBC 1, because Match of the Day is on BBC 1 from 10:30 with all of the Premier League goals and the highlights from this match.
Are you going to watch it, John?
The Match of the Day, yes, I probably will. Here's Foden. Foden into the penalty area on the right-hand side, does well, still going. Foden stabs it across, and it's in for 2-1 to Manchester City. It's Gundogan again, and Manchester City lead for the 2nd time in the match here at Anfield. And off they go in a sky blue huddle in one corner of Anfield. Liverpool facing defeat again at Anfield against their fierce rivals, the Premier League leaders. Liverpool 1, Manchester City 2.
Wow, it's all come from Alisson initially. You know, had the ball on the edge of his area, the ball got stuck under his feet, then Fabinho clears it. City win the second ball. They keep it going. The ball then gets played back to Alisson, who tries to drive it with his right foot out wide, straight to Phil Foden, who does ever so well. Brilliant desire, brilliant play, cuts it back. There's Gundogan. Very similar position, Joe, when he got the first goal, 2 yards out into an empty net. But Alisson, what are you doing? Phil Foden, magnificent. Gundogan with 2, City with 2. What's Alisson doing?
Alisson, usually his touch is so sure, such an important part of the Jurgen Klopp Liverpool, but that's a mistake, getting the ball away. City still had a lot to do.
Phil Foden, magnificent job.
Brilliant driving run, having just taken up the position on the right-hand side. He drove it past defenders into the penalty area to the byline, pulled it back across, and Gundogan was there to score his 2nd goal of the match, his 2nd goal in the 6-yard box, and that makes it 11 goals for him this season. Could have been a hat-trick, of course, if he'd scored his penalty in the first half, but that's a forgotten memory now. And the way that the City players celebrated together in one corner of Anfield. Manchester City, who've not won here since 2003. And what a landmark win this would be for Manchester City in the context of this season. The fact that they're doing it at the home of the champions, the team Liverpool that finished so far ahead of them last season. But this season, it's a different story. And it's Manchester City who lead by 2-1, and Sterling running at Alexander-Arnold, played it round one side of him, very nearly got there. Fabinho was able to take it on, though.
Do you know what, John? The two Liverpool fullbacks are brilliant players, going forward brilliant, but on one-on-one situations there are question marks. Both goals have been when Sterling drove at Alexander-Arnold, got into the box, led to a goal, went past him easy. On that occasion, the right-hand side, Foden driving into the box, they couldn't touch him. So when you can isolate Liverpool fullbacks one-on-one, they are vulnerable.
Yeah, but that's not easy to do, as history shows us. But Manchester City have been able to do it here today. And I think from the outside, Alisson's given it away again. And this is trouble for Liverpool. The ball is chipped across. Sterling's there and heads it in from just a few inches out. And it's 3-1 to Manchester City. It's their day at Anfield. It's Pep Guardiola's day against Jurgen Klopp. And the Premier League leaders are winning here now convincingly against the champions on their own ground. Sterling with the third, Liverpool 1, Manchester City 3, and it's another error from Alisson that led to this one.
I'm in shock. What am I watching here? We talked about final third recoveries from, Man City in that first half. What is he doing? Alisson, he just gives the ball to Bernardo Silva. So the ball gets played back to him. It's on his right foot. He tries it the first time again, straight to Bernardo Silva. He's driving in, and then the audacity to flick it over Alisson was magnificent. Sterling heads it in from a yard. What are Liverpool doing? Credit Man City. Oh, I'm in shock, John. What is Alisson doing? John, what is he doing? Twice, John.
He can't believe it.
Can you?
Liverpool can't believe it.
Can you?
For him to make two errors like that, I suppose, it's pressure, isn't it? It's a pressure situation. Liverpool up against it. Knew that they had to get something out of this game today. He's already made one mistake, and his reaction was to pick a water bottle out of his goal and spray it over his own head as if he needed to wake himself up as the ball's played forward for Liverpool. But this surely must be beyond them now.
Wow.
Ederson comes out and claims the ball at the other end.
Incredible, John. That goal there, he had one touch with his right foot, played out wide, and he looked a bit nervous. In the second one, first time tried to play out wide again, straight to Bernardo Silva, who was standing on the 18-yard line wide, straight to him, drove in, and then flicked it over him to an unmarked Sterling. Wow, I can't believe what I'm watching.
Well, there's only 12 minutes to play. Liverpool 1, Manchester City 3. 2 goals from Gundogan, 1 from Sterling. Remember, Gundogan missed a penalty in the first half, and Liverpool, all they've got to show for it is the Salah penalty in the second half, which came from a Manchester City error. So this is very decisively Manchester City's day, as Foden is bundled over, goes between two Liverpool players. Manchester City with a free kick, and they're in absolutely no hurry here. They really have got Liverpool exactly where they want them now. Liverpool facing a third consecutive home defeat. They'll be 10 points behind Manchester City tonight, having played a game more. And in the form that Manchester City are in, this for them will make it 14 wins in a row. But what a win this is. And also, in what we thought...
They've not won yet, John.
They've not won yet. But also, in what we felt was such a tight race, suddenly, in the space of really just a couple of weeks or so, Manchester City have gone away from the rest. City have won and won and won, and the others have fallen away.
You're looking like now City are going to win the Premier League. The relegation battle as well, the bottom three look like they're going to be the bottom three. It looks like now the most interesting thing going forward in the Premier League will be the battle for the Champions League places.
However, as you rightly said, Robbie, still 10 minutes to play, and Liverpool behind closed doors here at Anfield. Maybe it would be different if there was a crowd in here trying to stoke them up, but it is, despite the artificial crowd that you can hear, it is really so quiet inside Anfield, and Liverpool have to raise themselves. And against this Manchester City defence that is the best by a distance in the Premier League this season, this is a massively tall order. And here, this latest ball forward, Robertson can't reach it, and it's a goal kick to Manchester City.
You just can't believe how Liverpool haven't created any chances really, John. 2 in the first half. Mane's header, Firmino's chance was a difficult one, and then the penalty which Salah put away well, but they haven't threatened at all. I suppose the biggest surprise today is that Liverpool have scored here at Anfield, and that was from the penalty spot.
Well, Diaz has given it away. Milner on the left-hand side. Milner couldn't get the crossover. Bernardo Silva blocked it, and it's out of play for a throw to Liverpool near the corner flag on the far side.
But you've got to say, John, this Liverpool side, you know, they've got lots of injuries, players playing out of position. You know, for them to, you know, still be where they are in the table, I think you've got to give them credit, because any side would suffer the injuries they have.
But you know, all sides this season are facing injuries to important
they
players.
They are, John, but you know, when you think Henderson playing at centre-half, Fabinho playing at centre-half, they're 2 midfield players. Taking out that position, you're missing your 2 defenders. Jota, you know, what a big signing he was. So I think they have suffered massively, John, to be fair, because of the way they've had to move players around.
City with the ball inside their own half. City who've missed important players during the course of this season as well, and indeed at the moment the win that's been talked about since Guardiola and Klopp exchanged words on Friday, the win that Manchester City had at Chelsea when, you know, they were missing 5-6 players. That was a superb win in difficult circumstances. Here is Gabriel Jesus picks out Foden on the right-hand side. Foden into the penalty area. Foden left foot shot. Oh, brilliant goal from Phil Foden. That wraps it up for Manchester City here at Anfield. Oh, he hit that so well from the angle. It flew above Alisson into the roof of the net. Superb stuff from City here at Anfield. Liverpool 1, Manchester City 4. That's the pick of the lot.
Stop it, Phil Foden. That's ridiculous. Wow. Set 1 goal. Pep moving Foden over to that right-hand side. It was good play. Gabriel Jesus switches the play. Foden, talking about one-on-one situations, comes inside 1 touch, past Robertson, and then absolutely smashes it over Alisson, who was kneeling down. The power beats Alisson. You would say, John, it's straight at him, and Alisson for some reason kneels down. The power beats him.
But that shot was hit at some pace. Liverpool coming forward, but this game's gone now. A ball bounces off Alexander-Arnold through to Ederson, who actually Alexander-Arnold just had a kick out as Ederson was looking to pick it up there. Alexander-Arnold's running away. Ederson's not very happy. He's wagging his finger at referee Michael Oliver. He motions with his foot that Alexander-Arnold had kicked out at him. Now he's kicked the ball into the Kop as well. He's not very happy at all about that challenge.
But John, it was a one-on-one situation again, wasn't it? A one-on-one situation in a wide area, Foden driving in, and you've got to say, Pep Guardiola seen it. You said it, John, in commentary. You know, he reacted, bringing Gabriel Jesus on, taking Mahrez off, putting Foden to that right-hand side. Foden set one up and scored the 4th. Brilliant from Pep, brilliant from City, magnificent from Foden. It was his 10th of the season.
And Liverpool's home form here at Anfield, well, it's just fallen apart for them. Or rather, it's been taken apart by...
They've been taken apart, John, second half. Yeah.
By Manchester City's play, but also by the mistakes that have been made. Alisson to the fore, you know, one of the most dependable players that Liverpool have had in Klopp's time here. And now the final change being made by Jurgen Klopp. Tsimikas is coming on to replace Andy Robertson, who gets a little hug from Jurgen Klopp. But Phil Foden went past Robertson too easily, really, from a Liverpool point of view.
Like Sterling did for Alexander-Arnold on the first goal. Listen, the magnificent players, the Liverpool fullbacks, the way they go forward. Listen, the team massively miss Virgil van Dijk. It's as simple as that. You know, the way his leadership qualities, the way he makes players better around him. it's a huge miss, but they've got to get on with it. Title over, taken apart in the second half by a wonderful Man City, by a wonderful Phil Foden.
5 minutes to play. The scoreline at Anfield: Liverpool 1, Manchester City 4. What a day for City, who are still going on all fronts, despite the, we talk about the injuries. They've got the cup final, the Carabao Cup final to come against Tottenham in April. Top of the Premier League, in the last 16 of the Champions League against Borussia Mönchengladbach, which is a tie. City will be favourites to come through. In the FA Cup, they go to Swansea on Wednesday. That's one of our commentaries. It'll start off on Sports Extra, that one, 5:30 kick-off on Wednesday. Liverpool with Alexander-Arnold out of the FA Cup, now well off the pace in the Premier League. Win a throw-in, win a corner here on the right. Alexander-Arnold playing it off Zinchenko. He's going to leave it for Shaqiri. Shaqiri gives the signal, 2 arms raised. We're in the 87th minute though, and Manchester City surely can't be caught here. Shaqiri to take this. In it goes to the edge of the 6-yard box. Stones gets his head to it, and the ball is deflected out towards the far side.
John, on Foden's goal, I've only seen it twice. Do you think Alisson needed to go down because it was straight at him? Did the power beat him? If he stands up straight, he saves it.
It was ferociously hit by Foden, and I'll be very interested to hear later. I'm sure somebody will put a timer on that and find the speed of it. But it was so sweetly and purely struck by Foden, but it did go above the head of the Liverpool goalkeeper, who dropped down, as you say, Robbie, onto his knee. Ball over the top. Ederson comes, gets a punch on it away from Sadio Mane. Firmino plays it out towards the far side. Tsimikas is there, but Manchester City bring it away towards the halfway line. Alexander-Arnold is able to get a touch, though, to take it back into the Liverpool half, and Tsimikas will play it back.
But the way City have pressed Liverpool, John, the amount of final third recoveries they've got high up in Liverpool's final third, press them, make force in errors. Listen, Alisson, they are 2 shocking errors for the 2 goals, but you've got to credit City, John, for the press.
Manchester City heading for their first victory here since May 2003. It was the last match of that season. It was Kevin Keegan's Manchester City, former Liverpool striker, who was the manager of City when actually that day City started with Anelka and Fowler up front, 2 former Liverpool players, and Anelka scored the late winner. But City's record here is absolutely terrible. That's their only win in 33 visits to Anfield.
When was the last time Liverpool conceded 4 goals at home in the Premier League? Have they?
In the Premier League? Well, I'm sure they will.
Have you not done your research, John?
I'm sure they will. But unfortunately, my assistant Juliet has disappeared downstairs to do the interviews. Zinchenko will play it infield. Maybe somebody back at base can look that one up for us. Steve Crossman, if you're listening. Here's Shaqiri. Back to Milner. Now it's curled into the box by Salah. Milner's after it. Zinchenko gets there first and clears it away. Manchester City 4-1 up at Anfield. And Liverpool, at what was their former fortress here at Anfield, well, suddenly that form has completely disappeared.
Did Arsenal score 4, John? Was it Andreas Sharvin, I think?
You've done very well to dredge that one up. It was when
2009.
It was around about then, yes. For the 4-4 draw when Arshavin scored. I mean, they did. That's in the Premier League. They did concede 5 goals here against Arsenal in the Carabao Cup last season, a 5-5 draw. But certainly in the Premier League, that might well be the last time.
Good job, one of us in our research.
Yeah, you've done well there, Robbie. There are no flies on you. So 4-1 Manchester City lead, and we're in the 90th minute now. How quickly things change. But that is classic football, isn't it? Manchester City back in their stride, and really after this it's going to be a brave person who says that Manchester City will relinquish the lead that they have, even with most of the second half of the season to go. Cross from the left-hand side from Tsimikas, too close to Ederson, and we're into 3 minutes of added time at the end of the match. So live sport to come. For those who are listening on 5 Live, we've got Sheffield United Chelsea to come from 7:15. We have the Super Bowl tonight from round about 11 o'clock. Tampa Bay against Kansas City. The Australian Open tennis starts in the morning, and we will have our usual coverage of that, but not quite the usual because of the travel restrictions. The studio UK-based coverage, but we'll still have tennis breakfast on 5 Live Sports Extra in the morning from 7 o'clock. The test match as well in the morning. Cricket Social is on the website and the BBC Sport app. And of course, at breakfast time tomorrow morning, 5 Live Breakfast will tell you everything you need to know that's happening.
You know,
Chennai.
John, Liverpool have had huge injuries. They need their players back because you look at the table, they're in 4th place. Everton, 2 games in hand and only 3 points behind Liverpool. And you look at, you know, Chelsea under Tuchel, you know, game in hand, 4 points behind. So Liverpool will have to get some form here because Champions League, John, who'd have thought Liverpool not qualifying for the Champions League?
Unthinkable. Free kick. Jesus takes it down into the full-back position. And Liverpool, unusually this week, because they're out of the FA Cup, actually have a break this week. But when it gets going again for them next Saturday, Leicester away. And then the Champions League the week after that, when, if you haven't heard, their first leg is going to be played in Budapest in Hungary because of the COVID difficulties against RB Leipzig. And that's not an easy tie by any means. So City with a throw-in now, a corner it is actually. It's been won after Michael Oliver says, no, hang on, it is a throw. Going to get the team news from Sheffield United in a moment or two. But let's just hang on, just in case City are able to get another one here. And you certainly wouldn't count against it. But Liverpool win the ball back and attack with Wijnaldum, who plays it forward. But Foden, their scorer of that excellent goal,
He's been magnificent. Best player on the park, Phil Foden, John. Absolutely magnificent.
Can only agree with that, Robbie. Liverpool 1, Manchester City 4. So let's get the team news from John Akers, who's at Bramall Lane for our Sheffield United Chelsea commentary.
Ben Chilwell is back in the Chelsea lineup as one of 3 changes by Thomas Tuchel. Christensen also comes in, and also Giroud for his 250th Premier League appearance. Out go Thiago Silva, Alonso's on the bench, and Hudson-Odoi is also on the bench. And 4 for Sheffield United out. Ampadu can't play against his parent club. Baldock, Sharp and McGoldrick. In come Brian Lowe, McBurney and Burke.
The final whistle goes at Anfield. The champions have been beaten by the Premier League leaders Manchester City by 4 goals to 1. What a shattering defeat this is for Jurgen Klopp and his team.
Absolutely incredible. Mistakes, drama. Phil Foden, sensational performance. Liverpool have injuries, yes, the team's, you know, all over the place, players playing out of position, but City dominated the game. The only disappointment for Pep was they've conceded a goal, but other than that, Liverpool just not playing well. City brilliant. Title race over, John Murray.
And all after Manchester City missed a penalty before half-time, Ilkay Gundogan, but in the second half, goodness me, they made up for that. Gundogan made up for it. He scored twice. Sterling scored. Foden scored. Salah from the penalty spot briefly made it 1-1. But this Manchester City team are right in their stride. This is 14 wins in a row in all competitions. They've won 10 successive matches in the Premier League. They've opened a 5-point lead at the top. They're 10 points ahead of Liverpool, and they've won Manchester City at Anfield for the first time since 2003. It has comprehensively been their day. It's finished Liverpool 1, Manchester City 4.
And remarkably, that is 3 back-to-back defeats for Liverpool at Anfield since they went 68 games unbeaten. Burnley shocked them. Brighton stunned them. Today, Robbie Savage, Manchester City have smashed them.
It's the first time, isn't it, in the Premier League era that Liverpool have lost 3 home games in a row. They absolutely tore them apart. Listen, Alisson's mistakes, he probably won't do that again all season, but the way, Jurgen Klopp wants his team to play, he does it so well. He'll bounce back from that. The big question is now for 606, Steve, is with Liverpool's home form, they need their players back. You look at Everton, you look at Chelsea now under Thomas Tuchel, you look at Aston Villa, if they win their 2 games and they go above Liverpool, before the start of the season, we just said, right, with 15 games to go, Liverpool have got significant injuries. Will they get a Champions League place? Wow, 08, 08, 599, 693 for later, Steve. That is quite incredible. But, hey, Steve, what about Phil Foden? What about Gundogan? Phil Foden was unbelievable.
I'm just looking at the message we're getting, 85058 at 5 Live Sport. AJ, Phil Foden, the kid is clear. He's got to start for England at the Euros. Reese is reminding us that Phil Foden was only 3 the last time Manchester City won at Anfield. The power on that strike. I mean, if there was ever a way to cap an absolutely merciless performance, it was that. Yeah,
the first half didn't really get going. The missed penalty, but then the second half, it's just the way they played, moving, before the game, myself and Pat were talking about Phil Foden and how well he's done out wide. And, Pat said inevitably the long term he'll be playing central. He started central today, yes, in a false 9 position, but then when he moved out wide, they couldn't stop him. He was sensational.
I guess what is going to make this doubly difficult to take if you're Liverpool, Robbie, is that, there were errors, and we've mentioned the Alisson error, but ultimately, they've lost 4-1 in a game where Manchester City gave them 2 absolute gifts, a missed penalty and an error from Diaz that we've just never seen coming over the course of his career at City so far.
Yeah, what was social media saying, Steve, on the penalty? Listen, there was a little bit of contact on Salah. What were they saying?
Well, I spent all of my time in the first half looking up your yellow cards, Robbie, so I couldn't tell you. The one thing I would say about it is it's not just a penalty, is it, if Diaz puts enough into Salah to bring him down. If he impedes him at all, it's a penalty. But ultimately, in the end, it's made no difference, has it?
No, it's made no difference at all. Just the way City moved the ball, the way they got in between the lines, just the way they threatened Liverpool. And the biggest thing was, I listened to Thomas Tuchel saying about Chelsea, when he was excited about winning recovering the ball in the opposition's final third. City done that a lot today, didn't they, against this Liverpool side? They pressed them, they hassled them, they hurried them. And Alisson, yes, he made 2 errors, and but that's the way you want your team to play. There will be errors, but just with his right foot, across himself, it was just bizarre mistakes.
I'm just reading, John, some quotes from Phil Foden on TV. He's already spoken since that goal and the victory, talking about does he enjoy playing in the false 9. He said, yeah, I enjoy it. You can drop in. You don't have to stay up front. You can move. It's something that I need to learn. I can make it part of my game. I wonder if false 9 is actually almost the perfect position for Phil Foden, because you can do what you want with it, and he's such an instinctive player.
I don't know. I think personally, I would say central, really, in that attacking, in the sort of Kevin De Bruyne position, either side of the Rodri. But he can play there, can't he? He can play either side of Rodri. He can play on the left up front. He can play on the right up front, and he can play in this role as well. He is truly versatile. He is a very, very good footballer.
He can play anywhere, Robbie. You could put him anywhere, and he would have a massive impact.
He could play anywhere on the park, no question about it. If he was left back, right backs, I'm not sure he'd have the discipline to play as a centre half, but he probably would, because he just loves playing with the football. There's that clip, isn't it, on social media when he's in the street in Stockport with his mates with the ball doing all tricks, and that's how he plays on the pitch in the Premier League. No fear. Wow, what a performance. But his best work was out wide. It was magnificent.
Those are the sort of players that you're going to be looking for in your foundation, Robbie.
Oh, yes, John. Thank you very much.
But that's the idea, isn't it? To get those kids who play on the streets and develop them. it's genuinely heartwarming to see a local player. Yeah, I know you were talking, Steve, in the early part of the programme and on the Football Daily this morning about local players who come through and it's that sort of player, isn't it, that supporters want to see playing for their team.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we're now not far away from the stage, Robbie. We've had so many discussions. We had another one today about what Phil Foden has learned from David Silva. It's not going to be long before other players are trying to learn from Phil Foden, if they're not already.
Yeah, it's not just what he's learned from David Silva, it's what he's learned from Bernardo Silva, from Gundogan, from Kevin De Bruyne, from Sergio Aguero, from Riyad Mahrez, from Raheem Sterling. All those players he's learnt off, in his education, his development at Man City. What a player. Pep Guardiola, you've got to give him huge amounts of credit for the way, when all the questions, why isn't he playing? Should he go out on loan? He knew what he was doing, and now you're seeing it. He is absolutely sensational.
And we talk a lot about mentality, and we usually talk about mentality to do with Liverpool, and of course there's that famous line which became a little bit of a cliche in the end around mentality monsters. Well, if we want to talk about mentality, we're talking today about İlkay Gundogan, aren't we? To miss a penalty that badly in a game of this significance and then come back and have that second half.
Yeah, you were hammering him at half-time, weren't you, saying how...
I said he was past
Relax. Brilliant. One of his best seasons. I think, is this his best goal-scoring season, John?
Best goal-scoring season, yeah.
Yeah, but
11
again,
goals now.
John said it. Every single City player is playing to probably near enough their best of their ability. There's not one bad play in a City shirt in the last, is it 14 or 15 games, John?
Yeah, it's 14 they've won in a row now. I think if you were going to be very picky, you might say Mahrez. Perhaps you could see better form from him. And listen, what I'm doing there is
you're harsh.
No, but I'm making the point that he's probably the only one out of that team that started today that is not in rich form.
Robbie, before we let you go, what do you want people to call in for 606 later on this now?
Well, you've got to say, City title's over for me. That top four, is it unthinkable that Liverpool might not end up in a Champions League position? Wow.
08085 909 693.
Yeah.
Can't wait for that later tonight, 9 p.m. Robbie, thank you very much.
He's off.
Thank you, mate. Thank you, mate.
Well, that was fast.
Almost out the door.
Robbie Savage is hurtling his way back. It's about an hour trip probably back to Media City, but he will be back for 6:06 a little bit later.
That was the rustle of him taking his mini eggs with him as well.
Oh, wow, he's left you with nothing, John.
Yeah, left with nothing, as usual.
And you've got to stay with us for a while as well. Wow, what a result. Liverpool 1, Manchester City 4 in the Premier League. Loads more reaction coming to that, as you can imagine. Then we'll get into Sheffield United Chelsea, which kicks off in 45 minutes' time. We'll bring you live reaction as soon as we get it from Anfield. We're going to bring in shortly Ben Haynes from 90 Min and Leon Osman, who is at Bramall Lane for us for that late game, for more discussion on what we've just seen. And what have we just seen? 85058 at 5 Live Sport. Let us know what you're thinking after witnessing that at Anfield. Let's break for the news with Alison Hughes.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
A mountain rescuer is in a serious condition with potentially life-changing injuries after falling 150 metres while trying to help a man who was camping with a friend in the Lake District. The campers, who are from Leicester and Liverpool, have been fined for breaking COVID rules. The makers of the Oxford AstraZeneca coronavirus vaccine believe it will be effective in preventing severe illness caused by the South African variant. Researchers found the existing jab only offers limited protection against mild disease caused by that form of the virus. More than 12 million people across the UK have now received their first dose of a coronavirus vaccine. Latest daily figures show there have been another 373 deaths within 28 days of a positive test. A further 15,845 new cases have been recorded. And Rolls-Royce is proposing to temporarily shut down its jet engine factories for the first time in its history to save money. Most of the planes it services have been grounded because of the pandemic.
The voice of sport.
5 Live Sports Extra.
NFL Super Bowl 55.
This Sunday evening on BBC Radio 5 Live, join myself, Vernon Kay, Darren Fletcher and 3-time Pro Bowler Maurice Jones-Drew as we guide you through all the action in Tampa.
History can be made. Tom Brady back in a Super Bowl, playing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Patrick Mahomes looking to make it 2 out of 2. It's got everything.
Tom Brady just continues to defy belief.
Super Bowl 55. Tonight from 11
on 5 Live and BBC Sounds.
More live Premier League football than anyone else.
5 Live's Premier League Sunday.
With Steve Crossman.
Liverpool 1, Manchester City 4. Incredible afternoon in the Premier League at Anfield. This then is now how the top of the table looks. Manchester City top, played 22, 50 points. All of the teams below them, down to West Ham in 5th, have played a game more. So Manchester United 2nd, 45 points. Leicester 3rd on 43. Liverpool 4th on 40. And then West Ham 5th on 39. John Murray is with us from Anfield, our correspondent, and Juliet Farrington will bring us live reaction as soon as we get it from both sides. Also joining us, we've got Ben Haynes from 90 Min. Good evening, Ben.
Hi, Steve. How you doing? You all right, mate?
Yeah, I'm all right. In a little bit of shock, I think. And we also have with us the former Everton and England midfielder, Leon Osman, who's at Bramall Lane for us tonight. Evening, Leon.
Good evening.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's just start by getting, immediate reaction from the two of you, Leon, to what we've just seen.
Well, surprise, first of all. The fact that, Liverpool have conceded 4 goals at home. I can't even remember the last time that happened. They did break their score in Duck, which, again, is another surprising run that they're on, albeit from a penalty kick. They're just not the same side at the moment, and Manchester City went there full of confidence and took full advantage.
It was amazing seeing that second half play out, wasn't it? Considering the fact that so often these games turn into sort of damp squibs, and there's a huge build-up, and then suddenly you see 0-0 at half-time, you're thinking, oh, well, this is a nothing. And then suddenly it just bursts into life like that. I was wondering, Leon, did you have any thoughts on sort of why it happened? Because it looked as if Pep Guardiola might have just changed things a bit, gone with a 2 up top, just opened the game up maybe?
Well, I think the tactical change he made was to move Phil Foden into a wider position. He's played there quite a number of times in recent weeks and been very, very good. But I thought it was just, it was as if the two teams were sort of weighing each other up in the first half, just trying to get to half time without having overexposed themselves. And then in the second half, they just stepped it up. And when you've got...
stand by, Leon. We're going to go live down to Juliet pitchside.
Yeah, I'm just waiting. I can see him. Ilkay Gundogan is about to enter the stage. I say the stage because we're right next to the goal here at the Kop at Anfield, and he's just taking his face covering off. Ilkay, what can I say? Can you just sum up that game? You missed the penalty, but 2 goals as well.
Yeah, obviously, I'm very happy that we've won this game. I think we fully deserved it. We played great, especially second half. In the half where we conceded the equalizer, I think we did really well. Apart from the penalty, I don't think they had any chance to score a goal. And I think we moved the ball very well. We deserved to score a few more goals. And all in one, I think it was a great performance.
What about your own performance, though? Because obviously we saw the penalty miss, and Manchester City penalties against Liverpool. This does seem to be a problem. But then obviously you become a hero straight away.
Yeah, I need to admit that missing a penalty is always a bad thing.
Rubbish.
Especially early in the game, there's always the danger of dropping confidence. But I just try to do after missing it, just try to do the simple things as good as possible, as I always try to do. Try to don't get disrupted by that penalty, and just try to keep going, helping my team to win here. And it worked out quite well. Maybe I was a bit lucky to be in the right spaces, but I always try to be there. When I smell there could be a danger in front of the opponent's goal. And of course, I'm happy about the 2 goals, and it was maybe also kind of a relief. But I'm much happier about the result and about the way we've played.
I see Phil Foden just walking away. Everybody wants to speak to him as well. The build-up to the second goal and the part he had to play in that.
Yeah, Phil deserves all the credit. He's doing really well. I think compared to the last seasons, he stepped up his game again this season. And he's still so young. We can't forget that. There's still a lot to come for him. And I'm obviously very happy to have him in our team. He gives us an incredible quality. And it's just great to see that young kid playing.
You said you could have scored more as a team and you deserve to score more. That was a real statement of intent from Manchester City. The points difference between you and Liverpool now at the top of the table, you're 10 points clear of Liverpool. The grip you have in this title race, is it yours?
No,
you're smiling.
No, it's not. It's definitely not. We need to stay humble. We know that we need to put performance like that every single game, because every single game is tough. Doesn't matter if it's away at Anfield or playing home against Sheffield United, who is at the moment bottom of the league, but who have also incredible qualities. So even that game, playing in our own stadium, was so tight and so close that every single game has its own character and his own challenges, and we need to take every single one. Just need to keep going like we did today, and then I think it's gonna be a great season for us.
That's 14 wins in a row, Ilkay. That's good going. That's brilliant going.
It's good, yeah, it's good, and obviously the target is to keep going, not just in terms of the result, in terms of playing like that, and if we do so, the results will come automatically.
Well, we wish you well. Thank you very much for your time. It's freezing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Ilkay Gundogan, who scored twice at Anfield this afternoon, live on Premier League Sunday with Juliet Farrington. I love that, John. I mean, he talked about the simple things like scoring 2 at Anfield in a half.
He's an impressive character, Gundogan. Yeah. I've interviewed him myself several times. Very thoughtful. He's a clever guy, as well as being a superb footballer who is having his best season, I think it would be fair to say, since he's come to Manchester City. And, that's against a fairly high bar that he's had over the years. But as I suggested during the commentary, it almost seems as though he's emerged from the shadow of David Silva, who you'd expect to do all of the beautiful things. And now he's doing lots of beautiful things as well with the football and scoring good goals. And I think that gave us as well an insight into his psyche as well, and how he thinks about the game, and the standard, the level of a top class footballer.
Yeah, do you know, Leon, I was thinking as I listened to that, it was quite impressive that he picked himself up from the penalty miss to have that second half. But actually, when you listen to him talk, you think, yeah, I can understand how someone with your character was able to put that to one side.
Yeah, he just seems so calm and so steady, doesn't he? And doesn't seem to be affected by individual errors or mistakes that happen within a game. He knows the goal of the team. He knows what his part in that is, and he's wanting to go and go out and show that on the field. And as John said, he's been in terrific form of late. He really has been that. Even when Kevin De Bruyne was fit, it was Gundogan who was probably still the standout player. And since he's been injured, he's took the reins and really run with them. Then you wonder who else is going to want to be the main man. And Phil Foden, you can't say that he's not stepped up and showing everybody that they're right to believe in the hype that he's had since he was a young man. He's really developed into a top player. There's talk, should he be playing more central? But at the moment, if he's performing like he is in those wider areas for Pep Guardiola, then I'd keep him there.
The thing that links the two together, Ben, and I'm talking about Foden and Gundogan here, is they're both players who at times have had to settle for a place on the bench under Pep Guardiola, and yet they're both players who have shown what they can do when they are used. So that is all testament to the manager and keeping players happy, even though they're world class and not always playing.
Yeah, a testament to their patience as well, because there was so much talk, wasn't there, about Phil Foden, about whether he needed to go elsewhere, whether perhaps he needed to go somewhere on loan, and he consistently said the entire time that he felt as if his time was coming, he was going to get game time. And I think Pep Guardiola's been really clever, because he's gradually integrated him, hasn't he? He's gradually seen him drift into more and more game time, and in multiple positions as well. He's not just popped him in one place and said, look, that's your spot. He's drifted across the entirety of the front line, playing deeper as well. And I have to say today with Phil Foden, the thing that impressed me most is just the way that he carried himself. He looked like he belonged on that stage. There were times where he was sort of holding off Fabinho, chest puffed out, winning free kicks in dangerous areas. And then as well as that, I mean, the composure and the technique on his finish was just absolutely stunning as well.
I'm not sure, whether that was, Ben, genuinely an option or something that was talked about within Manchester City in terms of sending Foden out on loan, because over the years, and it is years now, that we've seen him develop. Whenever I've listened to Guardiola, and admittedly this is when he's speaking publicly, he's always been quite steadfast in that he felt that the best place for him to develop was at City and to be around those players, whether, certainly in training and the influence, etc., and that he would get his chance. And okay, you're right, it feels like it's taken a long time for him to get to the position that he is now, but he's there now, isn't he?
He believed in his qualities, John, didn't he?
Yeah.
And what he didn't want, and I remember him saying publicly, he didn't want him to go and learn, I'm not going to say bad habits, but habits that aren't what Pep wants. Pep wants to teach him how he wants him to play. He doesn't want him to go on loan and learn how another manager wants him to play. He wants him to develop in his style. And I've been saying for years, you don't need to go out and play on loan if you've got a trusted manager, if you've got those quality players around you. There's sometimes people are in such a rush to make it into the first team. I didn't get in regular till I was 23 and played till I was 35. So there's such a long time ahead for Phil Foden in his career. He's still developing. He's still got an awful long way, and he will develop and change positions throughout his career because he's such an intelligent footballer, and as has Pep's done, showing him different roles, different positions, false nine, out wide on the right within the game today. We've seen him play left, we've seen him play deep. Think of the player he'll be, when he really hits his peak in his mid to late 20s.
Yeah, he's always spoken of him, Guardiola, as though he is a very special case. I've heard him do it many times, and because it's Guardiola, when he talks about Foden in the way that he has, you think, wow, he must be special.
Well, I can remember, John, I interviewed Bernardo Silva probably about a year ago, and he said within 2 years, I think Phil Foden will be one of the best in the world, which kind of paints a picture, I think, doesn't it, of sometimes someone is just so good, you perhaps don't need to worry about saying it.
Yeah, but very often players and certainly managers would shy away, wouldn't they, of saying that sort of thing publicly, but with Foden they haven't.
And did you see the way they celebrated that fourth goal when he scored? Even Ederson came running up the pitch. It wasn't just delight that they'd scored the fourth or delight that they'd won the game. They were genuinely delighted that Phil Foden was the guy who'd done it, and he'd showed his quality on the field. If you watch back the joy in each one of those Manchester City's faces, they were rubbing him on the head like he's, a little brother that they've all really pleased he's come to the fore. And, they know his quality. They all believe in him within the club. And now everyone else will too.
Yeah, double figures that is now for Foden this season for City, 10 goals.
I've got some quotes here, Ben, actually from Pep Guardiola on Phil Foden. And interesting, actually, this is kind of the opposite of the discussion we've just had. So having just watched that performance, Pep has said this. He can get distracted easily. He's still learning the role. He was out of position in the first half. We know what huge talent he is, but he's still young and he needs to learn. Now, that's very interesting given what we've just discussed, but I also think it's interesting that if Pep's willing to say that to the media, he will have said that much more strongly to Foden himself at half-time, and he obviously reacted.
Yeah, but that's a massive compliment, isn't it? The moment you see your managers prepared to come out and say something like that off the back of a performance that was that good, it almost implies
Sorry,
there's a
Ben,
level...
I've just got to jump in because we've just heard some Pep quotes. Let's hear from the man himself. He's with Jules.
Hello, Pep. Yes, it is absolutely freezing. They're having a conversation, the guys in the studio and the commentary team, about Phil Foden. We know what we can do. You've spoken so much about him. He belonged on that stage today, didn't he? His performance, his composure.
Yeah, when playing the side, when playing the middle, he was not in the position he should be. But it's because he's young, because it's special. But of course, when he played in the side, the action for the second goal and the fourth was phenomenal.
You said in the past about him that you wanted him to develop at Manchester City. There wasn't really that option to take him out on loan. You wanted him to learn there. How much more learning has he got to do? Because he just looks world-class at times. Phil, yes.
Yeah, we knew it from when I arrived here. He had 16 years old, Chicky Bergstein, my lovely sport director, told me, there is one guy, you will love it. I said, okay, take your time. And after a while, with 17, I think he came up to training and we saw something special, unique. But he has to understand sometimes the game when playing inside and need a little bit more time, especially the tempo. He always plays in one tempo that is so good for the winger, but in the middle has another tempo. You have to make variations. Sometimes you have to play slowly, sometimes quicker. And he's still not perfect on this sense. But with this joy to play, with his ambition and his focus to learn, he will get it.
How much do you drive him on? Because you speak to him so publicly in the media and maybe things that he could develop, but privately, how much do you drive him on?
Talk to him and understand, so we can talk and after he has to realize that when he can do it, because the rest, the quality 1 against 1, the shoot is brilliant.
Okay, 14 wins in a row. How much of a statement was that performance
For our
today?
mind, it's so good. 10 in the Premier League, like everyone, you know how we struggle to win games, everyone. And but today, I promise you, we're going to celebrate it. But tomorrow, our feet will be on the grass again, because in February, no one is champion. And like I cannot predict the future, all I can predict is work and work and work harder to make a good game against Swansea and Tottenham.
But Pep, you're winning and winning and winning. Surely you are tightening that grip.
Yeah, but winning, yeah, it's, of course, I'm saying so. I'm so grateful. I cannot more words to be grateful and thanks to these players. But it's the past. We have done brilliantly, so I cannot deny it. We are so happy. But we are in February. Still, we are in the second or third games on the second leg. But for us, for Manchester City especially, you know, it's 3 points, but come here, finally win. It's important.
Thank you very much for your time, Pep. Thank you.
Pep Guardiola live on Premier League Sunday. So much of that I thought was fascinating, Ben, but what he said about his lovely sporting director, Cheeky Bergistan. You know, we're talking about a guy there who, Cheeky Bergistan, became a director at Barcelona a year before Lionel Messi broke through. So he's seen a kid of that quality. And Pep's there saying on his first day, Phil Foden is the guy that Cheeky Bergistan is telling him about.
Steve, you're leading me down a dangerous path.
No, I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just saying he knows a player. That's what I was going for.
Absolutely. And I mean, with a performance like that, it's very difficult to argue with the idea that Phil Foden is not going to be a special talent in a couple of years' time. I was just saying directly before we went to Pep, was I think that's such a compliment when he's prepared to come out and make bold statements like that about where Phil Foden needs to improve. I don't think he would do that unless he felt Foden was a big enough character and a smart enough player to actually integrate those changes within his game. And you get the impression it's probably times 5, times 10 behind closed doors as well, and probably a little bit more of a ruthless message. But the fact that he's prepared to do it publicly, I think is massive at this stage in Foden's development.
It's also interesting, Leon, that Pep Guardiola doesn't just kind of say that, yes, he was good, but the team. He's more than happy just to sort of stand there and kind of wax lyrical about a very special young man.
Well, I think when you've got the individuals that he has got, you know, there are occasions when you have to come out and talk about their brilliance. And, you know, today was a day for Ilkay Gundogan. It was a day for...
Sorry, Leon, I'm doing it again. It always seems to be you. Jules has got Jurgen Klopp with her.
I almost have Jurgen Klopp with me, the Liverpool manager. He's about to make his way to... hello. What can you say, Jurgen?
I can't hear you, you know that?
I'll have to shout. Oh, yeah, is this social distancing? Okay, here we go. What can you say, Jurgen, about this afternoon?
So one thing is the result, obviously, absolutely rubbish. 4-1, losing 4-1 in a game like this is... really exactly opposite of what we wanted. The other thing is the performance, and the performance was in big parts of the game really, really good. At least level. We caused City a lot of problems. Played a really good game, and if we would have played more often this season like we played in these parts, we would not be 10 or 13 points behind City. But that's all. That's not important. I think first half, at least level, really good half. Top football, both sides, really interesting to watch for both sides. Coming out, for 3-4 minutes, I don't know exactly, we are not that active as we were before. Concede the goal in that, it could be the offside goal maybe, whatever. Concede the goal in that period, strike back, score the equalizer, and then it looked, could have gone our direction. And then we make 2 massive mistakes, which obviously cost the game tonight. And yeah, that's how it is.
And that was so uncharacteristic of Alisson as well. And I think for the second goal, he got, well, I watched him, he got a water bottle, he just poured water over his head as if to think, what am I doing, sort of thing.
That's life of professional sports people. In that moment, nobody thinks anymore about how good you are and stuff like this. You're like, whoop, how can that happen? But we are. So he saved our life plenty of times. And tonight, yeah, of course, he was part of these 2 goals, definitely. So, but we take that. So we have this game is gone. So I saw a lot of good things, what I really liked. And after we had to show a few things as a reaction as well from the last game, and the boys did. The boys did that. But then when you concede these goals, they're obviously a mood killer. It's not like, who cares, let's strike back. That's not these kind of goals. It's really good. Everybody was like, my God. Oh, well, that's really strange. And so we lost the game now, but we'll carry on.
They're just tough times, aren't they? Liverpool's just going through a tough time.
Sorry?
Liverpool is just going through a tough time.
Definitely. It's a tough time, definitely. But again, what I saw tonight, this team will go again, and that's all I need.
Thank you very much, Jurgen.
Jurgen Klopp live on Premier League Sunday there with Juliet Farrington. We've got Ben Haynes from 90 Min, Leon Osman and our correspondent John Murray with us on Premier League Sunday. It's always interesting, John, to hear from Jurgen Klopp, but I think sometimes a sigh says more than anything else.
Yeah. And listen, he said there at the end, this team will go again, and I'm sure it will. And as we talked earlier about the important players that they're missing and the fact that they need to get the balance back in the team. But in terms of the title race this season, I'm just looking at his notes, Jurgen Klopp's notes in the match programme today, and he's talking about the rivalry between Manchester City and Liverpool. And he says, there have been moments where it's felt like a scene from a Rocky film where Balboa and Apollo Creed are just trading punches, but neither will go to the canvas. In terms of this season's title race, you can finish that analogy yourself.
Yeah, more like Rocky 5. Leon, the stats, there's loads of them flying around, but this is quite a good one, I think. 23 games into last season, Liverpool were 19 points clear. 23 games into this one, they're 10 points behind. And I know, it's very easy. The conversation could quite easily and, reasonably go back to the injury to Virgil van Dijk. But that is an incredible climb down for Liverpool over the course of the season.
Well, of course it is. There's no getting away from that. But, we were treated to, 3 incredible seasons of 98, 99 and 100 points. And suddenly we forget that, teams win the Premier League with 3 or 4 defeats. OK, Liverpool have just in a bad run and had more than that, but it was inevitable that the Premier League, especially this season, wasn't going to take 100 points to win it. It's going to be more, probably mid-80s maybe. So that was going to happen to a side like Liverpool, but I think the way they've sort of lost their confidence and lost their way in the last month or so, the fact that suddenly the most potent strike force certainly in the Premier League is struggling to find opportunities is something that nobody would have predicted. The fact that Burnley and Brighton and now Manchester City have all gone to Anfield and won 3 games on the run after their incredible home run. Again, no one would have predicted. So, Jurgen Klopp needs to find a way of somehow getting past this, getting through it, getting confidence back within his side, because, I think it's more Liverpool's doing than other teams, and even Manchester City. I think Manchester City have been terrific, but they've been Manchester City. It's Liverpool who've fallen away, and that's been the difference.
Steve, you mentioned Jurgen Klopp's sigh there at the beginning of the interview. What I thought was really interesting is that I don't think I've ever heard him, off the back of a defeat, sort of accepting of it. Just very flat, very kind of, we made a couple of big mistakes. I've just been beaten 4-1 at Anfield. I don't know why, but I'm sort of expecting the Jurgen Klopp of a few weeks ago to come out sort of swinging there a little bit and making a fairly passionate defence of his side, or explaining where things have gone wrong. And it's sort of, perhaps that's credit to Man City. Maybe it's just the fact that Man City played that well in the second half. But for me, I think if I was in his shoes, I'd be seriously annoyed with the fact that you work so hard to get back into the game, and then 2 errors from one of your best players gifts the game to Man City.
Well, Ben, he also said, that the two teams were very good in the first half. I didn't agree with that. I thought both teams were pretty flat and pretty ordinary in the first half, sort of weighing each other up. And then he said that his team came out and were below their level at the start of the second half, and Manchester City stole a lead on them. And I think Manchester City just stepped it up a little bit. I think that was the difference. Both teams were flat in the first half. Man City stepped up their level, and Liverpool didn't go with them. And as you said, then to get back in the game. I mean, even Jurgen Klopp was talking about offside goals within there. They've just been beat 4-1 at home. You can see he's frustrated, but his team are playing below par. His goalkeeper's given 2 howlers away in a big, huge game once they've got back level. So something's clearly not right at Liverpool, and Jurgen Klopp will be wanting to find out what it is as quick as he can.
85058 at 5 Live Sport. Charlie says you wonder how much last season's title win has taken out of Liverpool. They just look so jaded. Ryan says to avoid City having to make another non-essential journey, just let them take the trophy with them tonight. I'm not sure the question necessarily should be given where Manchester United are, whether the title race is over. The question, Ben, has got to be whether Liverpool's title race is over.
Yeah, you don't want to write off Liverpool, do you? It feels, at this stage, it feels very naive to even suggest that Liverpool are out the race, let alone some of the chat around top 4. I just can't buy into it. I can't get my head around the idea that we're considering that Liverpool won't be in the top 4 this season. Having said that, the way that Man City are playing, it's really difficult to veer away from the idea of Man City being in this robotic sort of fashion that they are at the moment. Man City are managing to share the goals around and share the big performances around their front 6. They're not relying on one player to go out and dig them out of a hole. They're sharing the goals around everywhere, and Pep Guardiola's making changes all over the pitch, and people are just slotting into the system as if they've been playing that way for weeks, even when they haven't been involved. Liverpool are sort of the antithesis of that. We keep talking about how much they're missing players, so maybe their race is run, but it still feels just a little bit premature to write them off.
Yeah, I don't think it's time to write Liverpool off just yet. As you said, you spoke about it yourself, John, in the commentary about you felt Liverpool had to win. That's the case. There's so many games left in the season. At the start of the season, Liverpool had a good start. Manchester City were probably roughly about 10 points behind Liverpool, and that's changed around to such the extent it has within the season. So there's enough games left. It's just that Manchester City's form just looks so ominous at the moment, doesn't it?
Thank you very... Oh, go on, John, sorry.
Yeah, just actually listening to Pep Guardiola at the moment as well in one ear, who's doing his media conference, and he's been asked about whether he might consider Ederson as a penalty taker.
Right.
And Guardiola says, when I mentioned that after the match today, he said, it's now a half joke. He said, when I mentioned it 6 months ago, as he did, it was a joke. But he says now it's a half joke because they don't really have a specialist in this area, he says. So we might say, because they've scored 4 out of 7 this season penalties, and that's after missing 6 last season in all competitions. So watch that space.
We will. Only a half joke now. Not John Murray. Thank you very much to John Murray and to Ben Haynes for being with us on Premier League Sunday. Liverpool 1, Manchester City 4. I don't think it will be a laughing matter for any Liverpool fans. And Robbie Savage wanted you to answer that question later at 9 p.m. 606 08 085 909 693 will be the number to call later to speak to Robbie and Chris. Liverpool fans, is your race run this season? The reason I didn't say a big thank you there to Leon Osman is because he's not going anywhere. Leon will be with John Akers for full commentary of Sheffield United against Chelsea. We're still not done on this Premier League Sunday. We're 15 minutes from kick-off, so we'll start the build-up to that after the news on 5 Live with Alison Hughes.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
The manufacturers of the AstraZeneca coronavirus vaccine believe it will prevent severe illness caused by the South African variant. Early research suggests it only offers limited protection against mild disease caused by that form of the virus. The team that created the current jab says a new version will be ready by autumn. Dr Richard Votry is from the British Medical Association.
Well, it's something that we see every year with the changes in the flu virus. That's why we have a flu campaign every year. It's slightly different vaccine that we give to our patients every year. And I'm sure that's going to be the case with COVID-19 as well. It is likely to change. It's going to be with us for the years to come. So we need a regular programme of boosters in place to enable people to keep up their level of immunity.
2 campers have been fined for breaching coronavirus restrictions after a mountain rescuer was seriously injured while trying to help them in the Lake District. The volunteer, who's in his 60s, fell 500 feet while trying to reach one of the campers who was suffering from chest pains. The Vaccines Minister says the government has no plans to introduce coronavirus vaccine passports in the UK. Some countries, including Sweden and Denmark, are already considering the move. Here's our political correspondent Ben Wright.
Here this morning, Nadhim Zahawi really emphatically squashed the idea and said it's not something the government are going to do anytime soon. Number one, because vaccines are not compulsory in the UK, but also because he thought it would be discriminatory between those who had got immunisation against COVID and those who hadn't. But he said if people do want to travel in the future to countries that have asked for proof of a jab, then they might be able to ask their GP for that record.
At least 9 people have been killed and dozens are unaccounted for after flash flooding caused an avalanche in the Himalayas. Many of those missing are workers on a new hydroelectric dam. Italy's allowing a migrant rescue ship run by a charity to dock in Sicily, despite some people on board testing positive for COVID-19. 8 people have been put into self-isolation. And Rolls-Royce plans to temporarily shut down its jet engine factories for the first time in the company's history. The Derby-based engineering firm has been badly affected by the pandemic.
On BBC Two.
Can't take things for granted. It still needs to be proven that the suspect in custody has committed both murders.
In the search for evidence.
There's this misconception that we just follow a set of processes. That's not true.
Cutting-edge tools can help uncover the truth.
Our expertise is in 3D scanning. We take a specimen and zoom into the wound and help visualise the nature of the attack.
Where the devil is in the detail.
Technology can be a real asset.
Forensics, the real CSI.
My job is to speak for those that can't speak for themselves.
Returns Tuesday at 9 on BBC Two and iPlayer.